There we go. We are live.
Oh, I gotta watch this ad.
Yay, adverts.
Maybe one day we'll have Twitch Prime. What is today, actually? What is today's date?
Wednesday.
15.
I know it's the 15th. Okay. I know it's a Wednesday, Matt. Smartass. All right.
Sorry. So sorry.
Ouch.
It's 15.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It is a Wednesday, June. No, I'm saying it's today because we're doing it live.
That's right.
We're doing this live. Thank you, Justin,
You're welcome. I'm trying to help you out.
by
Thank you,
screwing
Bobby.
me up.
Yeah,
It's
but
Wednesday,
also-
June 15th.
We're recording
20
a podcast as well.
We are. It's Wednesday, June 15th, 2017. And you're listening and possibly watching the Talking Games podcast. I'm Bobby Shortle. I'm here with Justin Townsend,
Hello.
Hugh Perry,
I put my cap on the frog and I became the frog.
Matt Wood,
Hi.
and Kelsey Lavati.
Hi.
Oh, we have a full house here for episode 150.
The big 150.
Where has all the time gone? Streaming live for everybody today on twitch.tv/Talking Games. We got some people hanging out in the chat. People are making banging noises, and one of our podcasters are making some sort of sounds like a can hitting a can noise.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Get your shit together, Matt.
It's Matt doing like a
it's-
Stone Cold Steve Austin thing where he's banging his
Yes,
beer
yeah.
and just chugging.
Yeah.
Um,
Matt 316.
we got a big show. It's episode 150, but also happens to be our E3 2017 wrap-up show as well, or I guess impression show. The show is still going on as we record this, couple more days, but all the big announcements happen basically Saturday to Tuesday. So we're gonna bang through these press conferences and talk about all the big announcements and what we're most excited for. We're probably gonna we're planning to start from the beginning and go to the end, but Matt can't be with us the entire time, and
Sorry.
the most precious press conference to Matt is also the last. So most likely, if we waited till then, he would not be on the show. So we're going to talk about Nintendo first today, and then we'll head on back to the first day. So a little bit of like a J.J. Abrams structured episode here, where we'll start at the end and then wrap back around. That's framing device. So anybody who's in the chat, let us know how we sound, if everything okay, just so we know we can fix it on the fly here, or Hugh can, because Hugh is actually doing all the tech work on the live streaming today. So
because it went so well before.
yes. But we figured it out because apparently when you put OBS to sleep, the broadcasting software to sleep, and then wake it back up, it fucks up your entire thing.
Yeah, it really does.
Computers, you know. Hugh and I didn't spend 2.5 hours trying to figure something out that could have been easily fixed by resetting something.
You reset it first.
Yeah.
Step one.
Step one is reset.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? Tech support.
Sam says we sound good, so good, awesome.
Hey, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
So yeah, let's start with Nintendo, who, when we were predicting stuff last time around, I think our sort of general feeling was excited, but manage your expectations because it's Nintendo.
I think that was a safe bet.
Essentially, right? It was just like
Yeah.
I felt the
they
same.
have potential to announce a ton of cool stuff, but they'll probably just talk for a long time about the games we already know about and maybe give us one or two little things here and there. And they only have 25 minutes, so how much could they possibly do in 25 minutes? The answer was a whole hell of a lot in 25 minutes.
Quite a bit.
My
Yeah.
God.
It was a hell of a way to wrap up the major press conferences, I think, for the weekend and beginning of the week. They started off with what looked like probably some sort of like Viagra or Zoloft commercial with Reggie walking around a house. like,
Speaking some very bizarre poetry about it's a game.
close
It's a
your
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love the bits where he was on the beach. That was hilarious.
Yes.
I
But
want the Muppets back.
he starts off in the house and one thing he says is close your focus, but open your mind.
Yeah.
That makes any
Yeah.
sense, Reggie.
It sounds like a
just-
Genji
Which,
voice.
for what it's worth, before the Mario stuff, that was kind of a necessary thing to say.
You're absolutely right.
True.
Like, we should have took his advice.
We should have. We
Because I wasn't ready.
definitely should have.
You
None
must-
of us are ready for what
I
was to
know
come.
what you know.
So Reggie comes out and he gives a little speech. You know, it's a very like, oh, hello there. I didn't see you there sort of moment. And then the house falls away, and we're into like our first of our trailers. And
all they were missing was the bathtubs, and it could have been a Cialis commercial.
it's true, yeah. People running down the beach, smiling and pushing each other on tire swings.
By his TV stand, he had a basket full of empty wine bottles. And I was like, I don't think that's decoration.
And there was like a book on the coffee table that was like colored and branded like Nintendo Switch, but it was like a giant hardcover book. It was very weird. It was a very, very weird thing. So they break into the first trailer show is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is a game that they showed off initially at the reveal that we know is definitely coming this year now. A big, kind of anime inspired as far as art style JRPG. This is the third of the Xenoblade Chronicles series. Obviously, the series has kind of roots going back very far in other RPGs, and the Xeno series has been going on for quite a long time. Again, we're gonna have a lot to get through today, so I think a game like Xenoblade Chronicles is one of those we're gonna say like it's coming out this year. Let's see how it is. I'm not particularly psyched to play it, but it's cool that it's part of their lineup coming out for this year for sure.
I think
it's a very big game. Very big.
Holiday, so probably October, November.
Or December. I mean, the Xenoblade Chronicles X came out in December of the year it came out, so it's not a giant game for them, right? That's definitely a very niche. It was part of that Project Rainfall thing with the Wii, where all of these RPGs came out for the Wii, and they weren't going to come over here. And then there was like a big push by fans to get them out, and they came out. And Xenoblade Chronicles was definitely the most successful of those games. So we're getting them more regularly now in the United States, which is cool. So I'm sure it will do fine for them. It's not one of their big titles. And then I believe we went straight into Kirby, which is just for right now called Kirby. I don't know that.
Keep that.
I hope they keep. I hope they keep it too. But looks like a Kirby game, like a it's a side-scrolling 2.5D platformer.
4 players.
Yeah, is it definitely 4 players?
It looked like there were 4 different players running around.
Because one of the mechanics in the game is you can this is like a thing for Nintendo, I guess. Like you're not just like sucking up the people and taking their powers. You're also like making them fight for you. So that you have like a party of characters behind you. So I'm not sure if it's a 4-player game or that was just like, oh, here's Kirby's like party of slaves that he has with him or whatever.
I'm very happy once he possesses them, though.
Yeah, I was going to say Nintendo seems to have this weird thing about possession right now.
Yeah.
It is true. Yeah, they do. So they showed off that game. Cool that we're getting, and it's 2018, so they're definitely saying like, hey, don't worry. Like, it is 4 players. Okay, cool. Hey, don't worry. Like, we've got games coming out from the series that you love. Like, these characters you love? We got the games. They're coming for you, and that was cool to see. Is anybody here like a huge Kirby fan?
No, but I think it's well, sorry. I don't want No, none of us are.
None of us are a big Kirby.
But I do think it's interesting because usually Kirby is a later in the life cycle kind of game. Usually Kirby's come out towards the latter half, at least at the console ones, and this is right out the gate, so it seems pretty interesting in that regard.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I played quite a few of the Kirby games when I was younger on Game Boy and NES and Super Nintendo. They're just good fun, like proper Nintendo games, for want of a better way of putting it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly it's going to be. I probably will end up getting it because it does, especially if by somehow it ends up being like a co-op game, like fingers crossed, couch and online.
I would assume so.
Yeah, I would assume definitely couch.
Definitely couch.
I
would assume couch more than online.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, knowing Nintendo, the online thing will be weird anyway. But
yes,
I'm looking forward to it. Like, Kirby games are just good, fun games. That's basically it. They're just fun.
Yeah, definitely the easiest of the Nintendo franchises, right? It's always sort of like the most low impact. Like, hey, here's like your first platformer type of feeling to those games. No, it's cool. I mean, look, they need to fill out the system with their big franchises, and that's one of them. and it's not like it's a far off development. It's going to be next year, so that's cool. The other game they showed off in the same vein was Yoshi. So again, no subtitle to that one. I feel like that's more likely to get a subtitle than Kirby is for sure.
They should just roll with Yoshi and Kirby.
Yeah, I know. I think that'd be great.
There's already a Yoshi game called Yoshi, though. So
it's true.
I hate to break it to you. There's already Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah.
It'll be called Yoshi X.
This could be a remake of the puzzle game on Nintendo, but I don't know.
So don't ever think there's any logic to how they name video games, Matt. That is nothing. There's literally been 2 Need for Speed games called Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. So they showed off Yoshi. It looks like a mix between the yarn stuff and a more kind of papercraft cardboard
It
look.
reminded me way more of Papercraft.
Well, yeah, but little Yoshi is still yarny Yoshi.
It's so weird. Why not go the full distance with it?
Because they already have the yarny Yoshi model and they have amiibos for it, and it's very
And
adorable.
they get that game out.
And it's super adorable. Made on Unreal Engine 4.
Weird.
Which is crazy. Now, Kelsey, you played Woolly World, right? So are you?
I did not play Woolly.
Well, I didn't ask you, Matt. I asked Kelsey. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. And then you looked at the camera, and I don't know. I had a moment. Sorry.
I know. I said we were going to start with Nintendo for Matt, but I didn't know Matt was going to take over the
Yeah.
show.
Matt's like, what? My name
I
is
have
also
so much.
My name is also Kelsey today. You played Woolly World. Are you excited about this new Yoshi game?
I wrote on my notes, I'm like, don't disappoint me again.
So were you disappointed by Woolly World then?
Yes, and I don't want them to disappoint me. Not disappointed, but I think I built it up more in my head, and then it just didn't meet my expectations. So I'm gonna try to not have high expectations for this Yoshi game because it looks pretty.
Life.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've always sort of, except for Yoshi's Island, I've never really connected very much with the Yoshi games. But what they were showing off in the trailer looked cool, like being able to destroy the environment and like knock out paths and go from one plane to the other plane. So I thought that was pretty cool. I know that, I mean, I like, even if I don't play it, I like that they're filling out the system with that game. And it's another one of those like, hey, don't worry, we've got you past 2017. We have games coming out, games that are Nintendo games that you're going to want to play. So that's a cool thing.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty standard Yoshi game. I'm definitely buying it, obviously. So I just have to kind of not raise my expectations too much.
Right, yeah.
There's other games that they showed that I'm obviously more excited for. So
right. So they did a little like a little sort of montage of like Splatoon and ARMS, which are both out soon. They did so much less with those games than I expected. You know, like I thought they were gonna get like significant Splatoon thing during the direct. We didn't. We just got like, hey, we've got a tournament going on. This is when he was on the beach, when Reggie was on the beach being like, hello, like this is competition.
On the beach. This is where he was right. He should have just been like curling iron.
Yeah.
Just like, hi, I'm Reggie.
Yeah.
This is where I come for competition.
Yeah.
This is where competition is born.
But unfortunately, I've never met anybody who can live up to me.
But he talked about that. He talked about the ARMS tournament, the Pokken tournament, and they showed off Rocket League for the Switch, which is coming on holiday. Mario and Luigi hats for the cars, new battle cards, which I'm going to assume are
Mario Kart
or F-Zero themed cars. For the people who kind of make Rocket League, you would think maybe F-Zero would probably be in their wheelhouse a little bit. But very cool to see that cross-network play, except for with PlayStation, because they're not part of that whole situation. We'll get to that a little later.
A story for
Yeah.
Sony's PR strategy this week is for next week. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
this one guy, Jim Ryan, is just like putting his foot in his mouth over and over and over again. But we we see cross network play, and for the first time ever, because it's the first time it could ever happen with the system it's on, wireless networked play. So if you have more than one Switch, you can bring them together and you can play on each of your own screens, which I think is a very cool thing.
Very.
Rocket League, I think we talked about this when the Switch launched. Rocket League on the Switch makes incredible sense for both parties involved. So, take that game and sit on your couch and play it, or take it somewhere else and play it on a network. I think it's a great idea.
It is.
I'm sure it will run fine and look good this holiday. They didn't show a lot of indie stuff during their conference really at all, but that game like Rocket League signals a good thing, I think, for Nintendo as far as what they're going after.
Yeah, and I think we've got more announcements to come from Nintendo, because they've said not all of their announcements were in their conference, which is like they went straight into the Metroid 3DS game in the treehouse afterwards. So I think there might be more. There's going to be more to come. Like they're constantly like streaming throughout E3. So I think there's going to be more to come from them. So maybe there'll be more indie stuff along the line, like over the next couple of days.
Yeah. And I who knows? I mean, they did that big direct like a couple months ago where they announced like 90 indie games coming.
I could see them doing that again sometime in the next couple of months.
And most of those games haven't come out yet. So we still have a lot of those games to come. And then the Rocket League thing happened, and they kind of had like a developer come on and be like, hey, like, oh my God, thank God everybody liked the Switch, which was like a really funny little thing. He's like, I'm so relieved everybody loved the Switch. And he goes, most of the stuff we're going to be talking about is 2017 stuff, but we have some other stuff for you. So first, let's go to the producer of the Pokemon Company, right? Like the head of the Pokemon Company, talks about Pokken Tournament for a couple moments, and then he goes like, oh, and by the way, Game Freak is working on a core RPG Pokemon title for the Switch.
Fuck me up. Fuck me up. I'm ready.
Tell it like it is,
took
Kelsey.
so much not to yell. I'm unbelievably ready. It's like I never knew I needed this, and I know. I don't even have the Switch. I know I need this.
I'm definitely excited for it. I've never played a full Pokemon game before. I've always said like I would like to play one, but I want to play one on my television, looking beautiful and all that kind of stuff. And now it's going to be there. And they said at least a year, if not more, away. But even saying like a little more than a year away, I expected like a much longer tail than that.
I would assume a much longer tail. Did they say?
He said it might take a little over a year from now. Yeah.
When they demoed, they were like, for the Wii U, they were like, by the way, we have a new Smash Brothers coming. Check back in 4 years.
Yeah, but that's Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ball of wax. Yeah. I would say it's probably 2019. That would be my guess. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead. Matt.
Well, it's one of a couple of moments that they had where they're just like, okay, we're working on it. We have nothing to show you, but here, just chill out. Same with, I know you're going to get to this, but Metroid, it's just like, we have nothing to announce, but I promise you, like, here's something.
Mm-hmm.
And which Nintendo does not like to do that. So I'm glad we kind of need this at this point.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like I said, like, hey, we know a bunch of you bought a Switch, kind of just on faith. Like, don't worry, we've got your back. That's what a lot of it felt like. Sorry, Hugh, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say it's good that they're like we were all saying like if they brought like Pokemon Sun and Moon to Switch, we'd probably be happy with that. But it's great that they're going, no, we got a Pokemon game coming. It's a Switch game. It's completely new. And like I'm really happy that they're doing that, because one thing that does grind my gears a little bit with Nintendo is the fact that they rehash their games a fair bit, which a lot of the time is great. Yes. I'm happy to like replay classics here and there, but for them to recognize the fact that this is a new console that is selling well, and they need to be supporting it with completely new games and go, yep, new Pokemon game coming soon. get on it, and like I'm excited for it. So fingers crossed it's good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, they don't miss very often. Like Game Freak doesn't really miss with the games they make, so it should be. The second part of that was one of my favorite moments probably ever. Like, which was they just saw this kind of black like Starfield screen and very low music, and the music kind of starts to build a little bit, and you kind of see like constellations, and you see sort of like a nova sort of thing, and then it becomes the morph ball Samus S symbol. Then
I was wet. Like I was freaking out.
And then
Kelsey's my favorite.
and then a 4 just on the screen, which moves over to read Metroid Prime 4. Hugh is losing it right now. I kind of lost my shit a little bit. I mean, the last full Metroid game was Other M, which was not a very good game, but I think that was like 2005.
That long ago?
When did the Wii come out?
It would have been like 2009. I think
2009. No, you're right. Yeah, 2009. But still, that's 8 years ago at this point. The last Metroid Prime game was what, 2007? Metroid Prime 3?
Yeah, it came out pretty close to the Wii's launch.
I know it came out the same year as BioShock. Don't know why I know that, but I know that's the case. Yeah, like 06 or 07, whatever it was.
Yeah, one of those.
One of those two. It's been a very long time. They've seemed to ignore it mostly for the last couple of years. They kind of like, and also a little bit like put their middle finger up when they put out that Federation Force thing, which was like nothing to do with Samus, nothing like a Metroid game. This is being produced by the guy who directed Metroid Prime games. You know, he's been a long runner with the series. It's not being made by Retro. It's a new team that was created just to make this game. So we don't know what Retro is working on now, but I'm so excited. We don't even like, you would assume it's a Metroid Prime game. It's going to be a first person game because that's the lineage of the series, but we don't know. We have no idea. All it was there was no date. There was no even slight time frame. It just said in development right now for Nintendo Switch.
It was enough.
It was enough. It was enough to know for Metroid fans. I think it was enough to know that they're actually doing something because they've been ignoring it for so long. Incredibly excited, obviously. I don't know what it's going to be, but now that I at least know I can look forward to it in the years to come, that's enough for me right now.
Good.
And the fact that they also, like Hugh said, not only did they reveal they're doing Metroid Prime 4, but they unveiled a new 2D Metroid game for the 3DS called Samus Returns, which is I guess a reimagining of Metroid 2.
Yes.
Which is crazy since that like fan-made remake of Metroid 2 just came out.
AM2R.
So it's interesting that those things are happening around the same time. But so great, like all of a sudden, like from no Metroid to 2 Metroid games talked about in the same 30 minutes was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I saw this reaction video online. There was an article on Waypoint actually where they said Microsoft talked about teraflops. Nintendo brought a title card. How Nintendo stole Microsoft's thunder, and it was like this reaction. It was like this reaction video of all these people reacting to the Metroid thing. And it was amazing, but yeah, looking forward to it. Absolutely.
I would say that up until Nintendo, E3 had been kind of good, like it was fine or whatever. And right at that point, they hadn't even shown Mario yet, and Nintendo, I felt, was running away with the whole thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, because they were giving people exactly what people had wanted, which is not something Nintendo ever does.
Never.
Yeah. Here's a core Pokemon game for the Switch. Here's a Metroid game for the Switch. That's the kind of thing. I in a perfect world, Nintendo would do that. But no, actually, we're just gonna get like, we're making another. You know, they're gonna show off the 3DS amped up Pokemon game and say like, and Pokemon tournament. So if people on the Switch want a Pokemon game, we have that for them too. Nope, they didn't just do that. They did more than that. So that was pretty cool. They showed off the Fire Emblem Warriors game, which is like the Musou Dynasty Warriors type game. I mean, it was cool to see those Fire Emblem characters in like super HD, like on a screen, but obviously it's not like a traditional Fire Emblem game. It's going to be a brawler game, massive amounts of enemies, button mashing thing.
When do we get the Mario one? That's what I want. Mario one. They've already done Zelda.
Yeah, but
Now
all the
they
ones
got-
they've done have some sword-based games. It's been.
I hate to break it to you, Mario's running around with a gun now.
He is. Well, yes.
So how long till he's got a sword in his hands?
It's true. It's true.
He uses a hammer. That's his. That's his
true.
melee.
It's very
Yeah.
true. It's very, very true. I mean, I've heard good things about like Hyrule Warriors and the Dragon Quest one they did. That they've been doing like a couple different things, but they're just not. They're sort of like placeholder games for when the actual big games come out.
I think it was the low point of their direct.
Mm.
Was that game had already been announced. We pretty
Yeah.
much knew what it was. I think it would have been a smarter move to have shown off. Then again, I know they didn't want to talk about 3DS at all, but I kind of wish they would have talked about Return of Samus in that space, just because. But Fire Emblem's also selling really well, and they have that
Yeah.
app game. I get it.
Yeah, I think the spotlight was all about like, hey, here is the Switch for this year and for next year. We got you here because here are games. You're gonna have games. Like whether or not they're the games you were like super pumped for this year, you're gonna have games. And then they closed out the show. Well, they did Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Do you want to talk about that now or later? I think we should talk about it now.
We're talking about it now. It's XCOM with Mario and Rabbids. Which is
That's
a nuts-
so much fun.
It looks really good.
It looks
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, it looks really, really good.
It's funny because Jorah is getting completely into playing Mario and stuff, and so I was trying to explain to Ange, I'm like, these are the minions before they were minions.
It's true.
This is like Steve Carell's what was it? Despicable Me got hijacked by the minions, just like
Mhm.
Rayman got hijacked by the Rabbids.
Yeah.
And they watched that little CGI trailer, and both of my kids were hysterical. I was like, well, I guess I'm getting this, and this is before I even knew what the game really was. And then I watched the gameplay, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah. And that seems to kind of be Nintendo's ethos right now is like,
not?
why not?
Yeah, what the
it's
hell?
crazy. It's real weird. It's
Yeah.
real weird.
And any long time fan of Nintendo knows that has never been Nintendo's like thought process. It's always been like, no, we're carefully considering why, and we'll talk
Mhm.
about it at a later date.
I'll say one thing though. It's like a bit of a side, but when they were doing on the Ubisoft press conference when they were showing that game, I thought it was really nice that they Miyamoto was on the stage
Mhm.
with the head of Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, let's look over at the developer. And the developer, like, or the lead director on
Yeah.
the game is like in tears
Yeah.
because he's so happy.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with Ansel,
Yeah. Michelle and
for,
Sal. Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil. Like,
Yeah.
he was crying on stage.
Yeah.
He wasn't the only one crying. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. He was crying as well. But
Back to Nintendo.
yeah, no, it looks cool. Like, and it's like, Kelsey, I think we talked about this a couple, like a month or two ago when it was rumored, right? The Rabbids Mario game. And we're asking, like, what could it be? Is it going to be like Mario RPG? Is it going to be whatever? This was not at all what we were expecting.
No, it's like an XCOM.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks cool if you look past like the sort of stupidity of the Rabbids. Like, I could enjoy it. I don't know. I never like got into them, so I don't know if it's just because I don't have that attachment to them that I was just like, okay. But the game still looks good. Like, it still looks fun, so I'm probably gonna get it.
And I'm totally into like their weird interpretation and skewed perspective of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a hyped up version of itself.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And I'm wondering because they only showed a very limited section. And the game is out soon. It's August 29th or whatever, which is another cool thing, right? We got Nintendo has kind of followed through on there. Like, okay, every month there's going to be
Something.
a game that's like from us. That's something, whether it's with us partnering with somebody or a straight up first party game. So it's continuing. And then they closed the show with Super Mario Odyssey. We all knew they were gonna close it with it, right? We all knew, and that original trailer, we're like, wow, this looks like a crazy Mario game, and I don't think we had any idea really how crazy it's gonna be. It starts.
It looks so good.
It does. It starts out with a giant, realistic-looking T-Rex walking around a very cartoony-looking environment. Then the camera zooms in on this T-Rex, and it has a little mustache and is wearing the Mario hat. And then Mario jumps out of the T-Rex's brain, and we're off into the rest of the trailer.
You sent me I was driving Jorah around while all this was happening, and Bobby sends me a picture of a cab, and I'm like, why is he sending me a picture of a cab? And it wasn't until later that I took a good look at it. I'm like, oh, the cab has a mustache and a hat.
Yeah. So the central conceit of Mario Odyssey is that your hat, called Cappy, you can throw it onto objects and enemies
To capture them.
and possess them and take them over.
Ooh, good one.
That was a pun, Bobby.
That's
That
what
was
it's
a
actually
pun.
called.
Yeah, it's called capturing them. And they showed off, like, I love the way that they, like, showed, because it was the frog thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, he tosses his hat onto the frog. The frog gets, like, this completely freaked out look in its eyes. And then Mario, like, goes inside of the hat into the frog's, like, it looks like some sort of, like, in-between crazy world. And Mario looks terrified, too. And then all of a sudden, Mario is the frog.
They teased that moment for like 45 seconds.
I
It
know.
went on forever.
Like the whole time you're like, are they doing this? Yep, the frog has a mustache.
It's
now.
like Mario becomes the Venom symbiote.
He's dead man. He's dead man.
Yeah.
He can possess anything.
And it's like, we're talking about what's the nature. Who is Mario now?
Yeah.
When does he stop being Mario? How many times does he switch until he stops being Mario? And is someone else
so
entirely?
many things written down.
I have so many things to say about this game.
So Matt, go ahead. What are some of the things you have written down? What are some of the word salad that came out of your head?
The song that they play along with it,
It's amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
it is
fantastic.
a full song that just described everything that was in that trailer. Just in case you needed support for what you were saying.
It's like
was-
a Randy
just
Newman
like-
song, but for Nintendo.
Throw a hat at some rings or coins. And it's like, okay, like
It was the one
I guess
thing
you
I
need.
liked.
How could you not like it?
I don't know, because you know why? Because the music, the orchestra music from the first trailer was so good, so amazing. Like, I was disappointed that I didn't get another taste of it.
It's
And, like,
so good though.
The song's great, like, fine, whatever. But, like, during that trailer, I really wanted to hear more of that, like, amazing orchestra. And I got some lady singing about hats and rings, which
Oh,
is
God.
totally fine. I get it.
It's
But
crazy.
It is insane. Yeah. It's insane.
Okay. Pauline is the mayor of New Donk City. Pauline has not been in a game since 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the mayor. And she's
they, Matt, did you get to
There's
see
a picture of her.
afterwards? Did you
Yeah.
get to see the treehouse stuff afterwards? Where they were actually playing the game for a while.
yeah.
So they talked about, like, hey, in, like, weird New Donk City, there's old Donkey Kong's name here. We're not ready to talk about that yet.
Yeah, he has to be there.
So, like, where else are, like, is this like Super Mario All Stars? Like, are we gonna start running into other characters as like little side notes? Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's like, so if people don't know, Pauline was the in Mario Brothers was the kidnapped girl in that game.
Donkey
Mario,
Kong.
Mario had to go Donkey Kong. Sorry, that he had that Mario was trying to save. One of the things I think the Giant Bomb guys talk about is like, so is Mario from New Donk City, like, originally? Because if that's where Pauline is from and that's where she is, wouldn't he be from the same place she's from? But
Why
he
is
just
she
look.
mayor?
I don't know, because she had a good political career.
you could just go. You could ask the question why at that entire trailer. Why? Like, it doesn't matter, but why?
I guess when she
If that is the case,
realized
go
that
ahead.
she was Mario's like side bay and not his actual bay, she was probably just like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna go into politics now."
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is an obvious progression in her life. So that's what I imagine is the course of events.
Yeah, you're probably right. It was just crazy. It was just crazy all the way through.
I've seen a leaked picture of her that someone took at E3, and it's her. It's like the image that came up in '94 for the Donkey Kong Game Boy game.
Mhm.
But she's like a tall lady with, she has the head of like a Mario character, but the body of like those other people, the citizens of New Donk City.
So a nightmare come to life.
It's so
It's
weird.
basically Mario in the sky with diamonds.
Who Mario can possess the people in New Donk City.
That's like the least impressive part about everything. It's like, of course he could possess the people. He could become a cab or a tank.
He can become a tank.
Although I have
Or
to admit,
a
like,
dude that's just eating a cafe.
It's true, yeah. And then at one point he becomes like the Hammer Brother,
yeah,
but has a pan.
has a pan.
Yeah.
And then there's like a shot of him like throwing the pans at the other Hammer Brothers.
So when he changed costumes a bunch of times, there were like all Easter eggs all over that. Like, Mario, he was wearing the costume for Mario Golf.
Mhm.
He was wearing a costume, I think, for one of the costumes for Mario Sports. Like,
Yeah.
you actually the coins in the game actually allow you to buy different outfits.
Yeah, and the things we don't know is, the coins actually do things in this game.
Yeah, you can spend them.
You can
Yeah,
spend them on
and
clothes.
the outfits. The outfits are functional as well. Like they showed a bit where he tries to get into what looks like a nightclub, judging from the guy saying like, if you're not dressed like us, you can't come in. So he has to go and buy like a poncho and a sombrero so he can get into the club.
He's
So
worn.
it's crazy.
Yeah, but he goes into that club and he plays the guitar for a little while and he gets a moon. So like the moons have like are like the collectible in this.
Did you guys see when he would transition into 2D?
Yeah, the 2D stuff.
Wearing
That
the
was
sombrero.
cool.
Wearing the sombrero. Yeah, yeah.
sombrero. But then as he comes out of the 2D, they had shown like as Bullet Bill is chasing him out of the 2D, both of them become 3D objects seamlessly.
Yeah.
I think it's a game of show by far.
The design is like it's just wild. Like they must have been dropping acid when they were like coming up with this stuff.
Well, they talked to the guy.
And this,
Sorry, 1 second. The director talked about it, and he goes like, "We were doing all these prototypes and all these varied prototypes, and we're like, which one are we going to use?" And I was like, and the director was like, "We'll use all of them." And it's
Yes.
all in one game. I think it's crazy. Sorry, Matt, go ahead, and then Kelsey, we got to give you a chance to ring in about this.
Kelsey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't really have anything additional to add. Like, my notes are not very concise. It's more like, looks so good. Can't wait. Fuck
Kelsey,
yes.
just yell into the microphone.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
basically what the rest of us are
Yeah.
doing.
yeah.
That's the
It look-
definition
it
of
just-
concise.
It just looks so good, and I'm so excited by it. I expected to be excited by it, but I didn't think I would be this excited by it. I think because it's so like out of the ordinary. Like I'm more excited for it. I think because it's so weird, and it just looks so funny. And I think like the amount of jokes that could come out from just playing the game will be really funny. So I'm just looking forward to the whole experience. Even I think with the gameplay, I think they're not overreaching. I don't know how to describe it, but it looks ambitious. It looks very ambitious. So I'm hoping that it lives up to it.
They showed this thing where Mario jumped off a really high building and landed, and it looked like he was in pain. He took no damage, but he looked like his legs were breaking underneath him, which was really disturbing.
Yeah.
It looks crazy, and we only saw a very little bit, right? We saw some of New Donk City. We saw some of that, like the Mexican-inspired world, and they talked about how the game is very much inspired by travel, and when you travel to a place and you kind of run to a culture and people you don't understand. They talked about it being like very, very dense, small worlds that they're exploring. So my wonder is like, is it like 30 different worlds, or is it like 10 worlds that have like multiple little areas within them?
I would say I would lean towards the latter.
I mean, I don't know. They showed a lot of
Mario
a lot of
64.
costumes and stuff when they were going through that. I'm guessing each of those costumes probably has its own like little plays. But it looks amazing. You use the moons that you find to power your spaceship that take you to other, which is called the Odyssey, which take you to different.
Also looks
worlds.
like a hat.
Also looks like a hat. Mario can also possess other rockets, as well. So it looks crazy.
Kelsey, you need a Switch.
Yeah, you need to switch, Kelsey.
Yeah, you do.
We're forgetting the
ready.
story that Bowser's trying to marry Peach.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Yes. The amiibos look amazing as well. The wedding
Yeah.
amiibos look like the detail on them looks pretty stunning, considering, I think they've like made an effort to go all out with these ones. So
I thought about buying those amiibos. Plus, they have some sort of like added bonus, obviously, in the game. And I forget that like other amiibos will be accepted as well, but like those specific ones will have some sort of like bonus. Oh, bonus costumes, they said, for the game.
And some of the bosses you fight is a group of evil wedding planners,
Why not?
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they just try and take all of your money.
Yeah,
They succeeded.
they
It
succeeded.
teased that the amiibos are positioned in a way that's supposed to tease some element of the story.
Yeah,
I
that was a
think
really
Peach
weird
is-
thing.
I think Peach is going to go her separate ways. She doesn't need either.
Mm-mm.
She's
Well,
maybe hysterical.
she's-
Good for her. Good
let's
for her.
be fair. Yeah, she
Yeah.
put her faith in the wrong man. All right, Mario does not done a good job over the years.
She's gonna switch to Luigi and hopefully hope for the better.
Oh yeah, no Luigi in this thing at all. I'm sure you have to unlock 100,000 moons to play as him.
Guess what I'm doing?
Or like, I think the Giant Bomb guys had a theory that like the hat was the ghost of Luigi, that he dies and puts his spirit into the hat, which I would believe anything at this point. So,
Why can't they just make Luigi playable from the start for parents with kids who have fans of Luigi?
speaking from experience.
6 a.m. every day lately, waking up being like, "Can you get these coins?"
Oh, and Mario Run.
And no, it's not Mario Run.
Oh.
It's Super Mario. What's the 3D the 3DS Mario 3D Lands?
3D Land, yeah.
Yeah, so like
That game is really good though.
it's fun, but at like 5:36 in the morning, I don't want to be concentrating on getting 3 coins in a level.
No, it's better than Mario Run though.
It is better than Mario Run.
Yeah.
Except in 2D, it's kind of difficult sometimes to see where you're supposed to jump.
Oh yeah, that game had a lot of 3D stuff in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that was Nintendo. Afterwards, like we said, they showed off the Metroid game. They talked about a couple other 3DS things as well. And they played through some Mario Odyssey. They had a Splatoon tournament and an ARMS tournament as well.
No ARMS amiibos.
No ARMS amiibos.
Yeah.
Amiibos for everything else.
Amiibos for everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they'll see how it sells, and then we'll see how
Oh.
it happens.
There's freaking Goomba amiibos.
Yeah, and a Koopa.
That's that.
Come on.
Yeah, they're remaking Superstar Saga, which is kind of cool. That's a really
yeah.
weird, cool game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is cool that they're doing that. But a very, very strong showing from Nintendo for
Mhm.
sure. So that was Nintendo, and then so let's rewind all the way back now to Saturday with EA.
I don't even remember.
So EA's main thrust, obviously, a bunch of sports stuff. LeBron James looks a lot like LeBron James in their NBA game.
LeBron James.
So there's a story mode in Madden now, much like they've been doing with FIFA for the last couple of years. FIFA story mode is back. They didn't show off in the NHL at all, which I was a little surprised by.
Kelsey's shaking her head. She
Yeah,
is-
Kelsey.
she is
No
disappointed.
hockey. No hockey for
No
you.
hockey for me.
No baseball either. So,
No, but they don't make baseball games.
well, who knows? They could have a surprise this year.
No, come on.
Welcome to EA's MVP baseball.
Because the problem is like the now the best selling platform has the best baseball game on it, so they have to make a better baseball game than that one, which is probably not going to happen.
They should try eventually again.
They made some good baseball games back in the day. So sports stuff. There's a Battlefield DLC coming, a pretty big exponential expansion to it.
Sounds like a sizable expansion.
Opening up the Eastern Front with Russia. I think it looks like there's some more story stuff
Nine
Yeah.
maps.
in the DLC. 9 maps. Yeah, it looks pretty sizable.
Women soldiers.
Yeah, women soldiers. A lot of cool stuff. Like a very good expansion for Battlefield
A
1.
new mode. They tease some new mode coming.
Yeah, which they didn't reveal.
No.
But they tease a new mode. I'm sure, Hugh, you'll be getting that, and you'll check in with us when that comes out. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
coming out this year, I believe, right?
Yeah, I've got the premium pass, so I'll get it all and play
I have it too.
So
Maybe one day I'll play it again.
Yeah, it's on sale right now, and that like the
Best of.
the PSN like E3 sale or whatever. I've considered buying it again.
Very good.
It's a very good game. It was a very good video
it is
game.
a very good
So-
game.
So they did that. They showed off the new game from Hazelight. Well, the first game from Hazelight, but the director of Brothers,
Yes.
which was called A Way Out.
No way out.
No
Yes.
Way Out. No Way Out.
Or no, it was a way.
A Way Out.
It
No Way Out
was a
is
Way Out.
a WWE pay per view.
Yes.
A Way Out, which is another like your two people, and everything has to do with the two people. Except this one is not you controlling each person with one stick like Brothers was, but now it is co-op the whole game. They suggest couch co-op for it, but you can play online. Dynamic split screen changing all the time. The amount of split screen real estate taken up by each character will change based on like how important the scene is that's going on. I loved Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. I thought it was a fantastic little indie game with a really emotional story. And this game looked awesome to me. Like just what I like about it is, hey, like this maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe not everybody has somebody to play this game with, but like I have a vision and this is what I want the game to be. And here you go. And the guy was so fucking like enthusiastic about it. Yeah, it was very, very cool.
Yeah. He was on the. I was watching a bit of Sony's stream from E3 earlier on, and he was speaking about like the technicalities of making a game like this. And he said normally when you're playing a co-op game, and say like if one character attacks an enemy, but another character should be positioned. Like they're not where they should be according to what the animation that needs to happen, the game will just like shift things accordingly to deal with that. And he was saying like for him and the developers, it's like his exact words were, it's a pain in the ass because they can't do that in this game, because if you're like stealth killing or taking down somebody and the other person's like somewhere like in the distance from you, they cannot do that. They can't like account for the characters not being necessarily where the game might need them to be. So it sounds like it's like they're doing some really like unique things with it, and like some of the gameplay they showed was like the one bit where they were like back to back and they had their feet on the wall and it looked like they were going up a lift shaft and stuff like that. I'm really interested to see how like those mechanics work. And if they manage to pull it off, I think they're gonna like put out something really special here. It looks like a really cool game, and you know the story of Brothers was like really affecting and really like touching,
Haunting.
Haunting. Yeah, that's a good word for it.
So I'm hoping like the writing in this game, if they get the writing good, done down like to a T, and the gameplay off right, it could be a really special game. This one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. They showed at EA, and we'll talk about more when we talk about Microsoft. They showed a very quick teaser for Anthem, the new BioWare game. But the bulk of that was showed as Microsoft, so we'll talk about when we get there. For me, A Way Out was the highlight of their conference. For me, it was the one that I walked away with going like, okay, this is something like new and interesting that I can really get behind and get excited about. That was for me. I mean, we're going to talk about Star Wars. Obviously, it's the last thing we're going to talk about. They didn't show anything else for Star Wars except for Battlefront, so those predictions were all wrong for us. Was anybody else impressed with anything at EA other than Star Wars they wanted to talk about?
Need for Speed.
Oh, okay. Hugh agrees.
Need for Speed looks really fun.
It does look fun. It looks like Need for Speed. Like it's tough for me to get jazzed about it.
Need for Speed.
It looks like a really good Need for Speed. Like, I mean, yeah, that looks like they might be taking parts of Burnout.
Which is cool.
It.
That's great.
The last Need for Speed game was not good.
Mm-hmm.
You only raced at night. It was kind of boring. It was a very closed, open world, meaning it's basically just like city and then some hills. It was really not that great. So seeing this one, it made me hopeful.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. I have no doubt it's going to be good. It's just not the kind of game that gets me excited, like in a press conference setting. You know, it did look cool. I'm interested to see how much of it is going between like the driving and those cutscene things, and like how it weaves itself in and out. So we'll have to see about that.
Yeah, and I think it will be one of those games that's like trailers and stuff. I don't think like for a game like that don't really sort of get me jazzed. Like playing it, I can imagine will probably be like really exhilarating. It looks exciting to play, but sitting and watching it, it's just a bit. Like I'd rather be hands-on with it and playing it to get a better feel for the excitement of it. And like you say, how it plays is going to be a big part of whether that game is good or not, I think.
Groon in the chat just said Need for Speed looks like the child of Burnout.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ghost Games, who makes those games, has a lot of fun, former Criterion people in it, and those takedown animations were completely a Burnout thing. look, I mean, if it's cool, I'll definitely play it. It's just like I felt like what I saw was like, oh, this looks very fidel. And I think we're going to talk about this a lot as we go through this press conference. These press conferences for me, it's like, wow, that game looks really nice, but what else have you got for me? Because we got to a point where I feel like looking nice isn't enough anymore for me. There's like a level now, that we're at. So then they did a big block of Star Wars, right? And for me, look, I'm very excited about Battlefront 2. I think that story mode is going to be awesome. They showed very little of that story mode at this press conference, and it was mostly like a shoutcasted esports. Here's a multiplayer battle
Sold.
thing.
Yes.
Look, I think the multiplayer is going to be fun. Don't get me wrong. I thought that was a terrible presentation of that game.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Their entire press conference to me is just bad. Just like they're not good at putting on their own press conferences.
Yeah.
Especially when they start doing shoutcasting and anything like that.
Yeah.
If they had just played a match with no volume at all, and it was just people playing the match, I would have still said sold. It looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, it looks fantastic. I'm more reviewing the press conference than the games, and like in that situation, I'm fine with seeing multiplayer. I would have rather them done like a edited, here's here's like a multiplayer match. Here's show off different things, because they would be like okay, let's go see how Rey's gonna do against Darth Maul, and then they cut to the guy and Rey was dead already.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so that's great.
And I don't think they explained the the mechanics of the game mode that they were playing particularly well.
No, I had no idea what was going on.
Now they're on to the next phase, and you're like, all right, how did that happen? Like,
yeah.
I don't know why, but the design on that map was stunning. Like, it looks really cool, like a really like inner city combat. So I know what you mean. It wasn't good. Like, they just had a bunch of Twitch streamers in the hall playing it, and some of the gameplay from it was just ridiculous, because it was just like people like crashing their like starfighters into buildings and stuff. Which, to be fair, is the type of thing I would do.
Which is the type of thing that happens in that game, right? It's just not the best way to show off the game, I think.
Exactly. It wasn't.
And
slick.
it's part of this whole trend, and it's happening for a couple of years, where it's like, it's not an esport, right? Like, just let it be a game first, and then you can go into the competitive nature if a scene grows up around it, But like, don't make it seem like there's already a scene around Battlefront 2. There isn't. Like, there isn't like $1 million prize pools for Battlefront 2. There isn't like a crazy, like, huge community. In fact, the first game was no more as like a pretty casual multiplayer experience, So this push is a little weird to me. I do know now that Theed is the capital of Naboo, thanks to this, which I never really knew before. It's cool that you can play as the droids and stuff like that. That's neat. I like that they're doing some variation in it. Matt, I know that you were looking forward to this. How did you feel coming away from it? Matt.
Sorry. Yeah, you guys are having some connection issues, I think.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, what was the question?
I know you were really looking forward to Star Wars at the press conferences, and you're looking forward to Battlefront 2. How did you feel about the presentation?
How did I feel about it?
Yeah, how did you feel about it?
No, it was fine. They have nothing they need to do to sell me at this point. After Celebration, I knew enough, and I agree the presentation wasn't great at E3, but yeah, I like what I've seen so far, and I'm still in for it. I like the new trailer, so I'm all in.
Sorry, Matt. Carry on.
Good. No, I'm done. I'm
The one thing I will say that was absolutely bloody brilliant about that Star Wars segment was Janina Gavankar.
Yes, absolutely.
She
I agree.
was
100%.
Fucking brilliant. Like, you could tell she was loving every second of that, and it was so cool to see. And like the way she just like came on stage, and she would just look like she had that like fierce look on her face. And just stood there looking all like mean and moody, and then the facade broke, and she was just like, "My mum's here, it's great." And I was just like, "Oh, I love this woman. She's so cool." Like, she was brilliant. Like, I think she sort of like did her fan base proud there. She was awesome.
Oh, 100%. I thought that she she was awesome, and like she had so much enthusiasm and so much like genuine excitement for what she was doing. It was infectious, you know. And when they have those type of people on stage, it always sells their games really, really well, because they're like, okay, this person isn't just like bullshitting me. Like they believe what they're saying, which was really nice. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping we'd see like a level or something from the single player, or like a bit of a level, just to see how like the cinematic storytelling was going to happen actually in the game and outside of a trailer. But look, like Matt said, I'm already sold. Like I'm going to get the game. Like I think it's going to be cool. But I would have liked to have seen some of that, because that's the part that I'm most interested in.
My feeling is, I'm just speculating here, but I don't know whether, because it's actually a story that is canon, I don't know whether they're playing their cards close to their chest because they don't want to like reveal anything.
Yeah.
That's just me guessing, but that to me, you know, I don't know whether Disney are just like, you need to keep story elements, like any story beats in this thing, like quiet. That's just me guessing, but that's my idea as to why they're not showing much.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I would agree with you if it was something that was like in this new trilogy of movies. The fact that it's sort of still before the Force Awakens, like I feel like the reins are a little bit tighter. We're going to get down to the point though where there's like 15 seconds of history which we have not seen in the interstitial time between the two trilogies. But yeah, I mean, again, that's just wishful thinking. Like I'm excited for it. The trailer they did show looked very cool, very atmospheric. I think it's gonna look awesome. It's gonna play great. I mean, DICE makes great shooters, you know, but I just felt like they do themselves such a disservice by showing off the multiplayer the way they showed it off.
Yeah, I agree.
So
we had a friend over this weekend, and he's a big Star Wars guy, but he refused to buy Battlefront because that's just not the kind of game he's into, especially with it being online only. And the story trailer was enough to say, okay, I'm going to buy one of these games. So they're definitely reaching out with an audience that wasn't there initially.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Yeah.
Do you and Kelsey want to share with the class?
No.
Passing notes under the table.
Yeah, passing notes during the podcast. So after EA on Saturday, Sunday started out with Microsoft, which obviously was I think the most interesting press conference to talk about and think about, because they had new hardware to bring to the table, and they started right off with with their deep sort of hardware deep dive, the 6 billion transistors, all that kind of stuff. Teraflops. Things are going to look awesome, basically, is what the deal was, right? So, and then they showed a lot of games, right? Phil Spencer came out, kind of said like, hey, here's like the lead designer on the Scorpio. He talked for a little while. They unveiled, which has just become the categorically horrible way that Microsoft names things at this point, the Xbox One X.
Xbox.
Yeah, it's the Xbox, if you abbreviate it. But they just can't get out of their own way when it comes to naming stuff. Then we get into a bunch of games. They said they're going to show like something like 42 games, 22 of which had some sort of exclusivity on them. Yeah.
Exclusive.
They've ruined the word exclusive at this point, for sure.
They just weaved exclusive into every possible sentence that they could.
Yeah, and to be fair, Phil Spencer has come out since then and like clarified some of this stuff. And even he doesn't. He's like, oh, console launch exclusive means it'll be on our system before it's on anybody else's system, as far as home consoles go. But even I don't know how long it will be between when it comes to ours, when it comes to somebody else's. That's up to the developers.
Just take a whole bunch of papers and just throw them in the air.
Yeah. Just say it's coming out first on the Xbox. That's all you need to say.
Yeah.
Because they wanted the word exclusive.
I know. But it creates this confusion.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Trust me, I don't want them to do it.
Yeah.
It just makes it 1,000 times more confusing. But because they're behind, they want you in your head to go, I heard the word exclusive 22 times.
Yeah.
Which confuses people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they show off a ton of games. Battlegrounds is coming first to Xbox.
High five.
High five. We got it right.
We got it right.
We got it right. They brought Brendan Green, PlayerUnknown, out on the stage to talk about it. And that is most notable because there were very few people who made games that came out on stage on any of the press conferences. So that you can tell, like, how much clout is going on right now.
Yeah,
they bring that guy out to talk.
That dude is sought after right now.
Yeah. So it's going to be like, it's coming in the fall, or it's coming late 2017 to the Xbox. So it's not going to be in their Game Pass program. It's going to be when the game is like done, officially out.
But that game will come to PlayStation.
It will come to PlayStation probably either early. It depends how late. I'll say this: if the game comes out in like September 2017, I would assume by like December or January it'll be on PlayStation. I feel like it's just easier for them to get it on Xbox first. And that's probably why they're coming to it first. Or Microsoft said, hey, here's a little bit of money to spruce up your Xbox port. Like, let's get it on here as quickly as possible. It will have like Xbox One X enhanced features, like 4K, HDR, stuff like that.
That is not the game you want to be showcasing graphical prowess.
No. Well, they showed a trailer for it. And for anyone who's ever played Battlegrounds, never has the game been that fast ever.
No.
Like it's like people doing car chases.
I spent 10 minutes sat in a fucking bathtub playing Battlegrounds the other night. That is what Battlegrounds is.
And like they're showing like car chases and fights, and like they did show one thing where a guy shot a door with a shotgun and then threw a Molotov cocktail in the hole he shot in the door, and I was like, I have never thought of that. I'm going to use that next time I play the game. But came out and did it. Look, it's cool. Whatever, even if they have, look, I'm sure it will get cleared up as we get closer when it comes to PlayStation. If it's 3 months, if it's 6 months, people are not going to buy. There are plenty of people out there who are like, oh man, I wish I had a PC so I could play Battlegrounds, but I'm not going to spend $500, $600, $700 to build a PC.
People
to
do
play
that
the game.
Crazy.
Just
lunatics.
Lunatics. Who would do that? But people will spend $250 on an Xbox One S to play the game, you know? So I think it's very smart. It opens up the player pool, obviously, to a much broader group of people. I think for our group of people, it doesn't help that much because it adds you to the loop, Justin, but removes you. So we kind of just end up in the same situation that we've been in. But it's cool, nonetheless. Very cool. A very big announcement for them. That was one that stood out. We're going to bounce around a little bit. They showed off Life is Strange thing.
Oh my God.
Kelsey's back.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What bodily function did this set off?
Yeah. She pooped everywhere.
What is with you? He was like slap happy. Kelsey, wait. Do you like the fact? Are you on board even though it's a prequel? Do you like prequels? Do you not like prequels? Because like this isn't the whole thing. Like this isn't what the main team is working on. This is some side team doing this story.
I'm conflicted because I usually don't like prequels because I feel like for example, spoilers for Life is Strange if you guys didn't watch it, play it, but like we know Rachel is gone, and so I want to know what happened with her and Chloe, but at the same time, like I know how the game's gonna end because it's most probably gonna end where Life is Strange starts.
Yeah, most likely. And if this was what Don't Nod was working on, if this was like their full Life is Strange sequel, I'd be bummed out for sure. But they're working on a full Life is Strange sequel.
Yeah.
And this is just like, hey, we don't want it to be 3.5 years between when the first game comes out and when the sequel comes out. Let's get something out in the middle so people remember Life is Strange. People are so excited about it. And you can also tell, speaking on the same line as like Brendan Green, that was like the third to last thing they showed at that press conference. So like there is obviously a huge audience for that game and a huge audience of people that probably wouldn't normally be excited about most games shown at a Microsoft press conference. I agree. So it's very cool they're doing it. A couple of things suck. Because of the voice actor strike, Ashley Birch, who voiced Chloe isn't voicing Chloe in the prequel.
Yeah.
She's consulting on the writing for the game, and she's helping out creating the game, which is great because they'll definitely get the spirit of the character right. And I'm sure, I can't remember her name is Rihanna DeVries or something like that is a voice actress who they got to replace her. I'm sure she'll do a great job, but like obviously those two that actress and that character are very closely linked in people's minds. But it's cool because I think that we take away the time travel power, right? We take, and they said there's going to be it's mostly going to be like a conversation system where it's like Chloe has a big mouth, so you can be as big mouth or as like quiet as you want, and that's going to kind of measure how different things go in the conversations.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, Kelsey, I think you'll agree with me. Like for Life is Strange, like yeah, the time travel stuff was cool and it was like a good hook, but the stuff that was really great about that game was like the quiet, like realistic relationships that were coming. So even if I know what happens to Rachel Amber, it's going to be cool to see them interact, I think, for most of the game.
Yeah, but that's exactly how I feel. Like I find the time travel thing in the first game was just me going back and being like, oh shit, they were mad at me. Let me.
Yeah.
But I'm just like I said, I'm just excited to see what happened. Like maybe Chloe will have a fidget spinner because you know how the writing can be sometimes.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm very excited. Like when it came on, I yelled, I screamed, I was freaking out. But yeah, like you said, like if it was a full game, I think I would be like, okay, like I already know how it's gonna end. But I like that it's gonna separate us between like, I get it. Do you know if the bigger one they're working on is with Max, or did they release anything?
They haven't said anything about it. The talk of the studio is that they've interviewed and they said that the story of Max is over. Like I think it's going to be like new characters completely.
Okay, so then I will like this game even more. I think because it'll be my only like clutch to Chloe.
And if you get the deluxe edition, there's like a bonus episode that is Max. Like Max is the star of it.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's like $24.99 for the deluxe edition, and you get this Max episode.
Cool.
Plus this ability to make like your own in-game music playlists, so you can take this different music from the soundtrack and like play them however you want or something like that. I don't know. Weird. The more important thing is obviously the Max thing. But it's one of those games where like you kind of felt as it was coming out, it grew in estimation, and obviously. Here at Talking Games, we loved it, right? It was like a lot of us loved it. It was a game that we really, really loved. But it's cool to see that it obviously had a much bigger impact than that because of where it got placed on that press conference stage. Like I saw the Square Enix logo and I was like, oh, it's going to be Tomb Raider. Like that's immediately what I thought.
Yeah,
I thought this is a new Tomb Raider. And then when it was Life is Strange, I was like, holy shit! Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was a big one for me. Let's talk about the big one for you, Justin.
Which one?
The biggest one for you.
Anthem?
Yeah, Anthem.
Anthem looked really cool.
Yeah. The new BioWare
really
game.
Fucking
So
does.
BioWare said, what would happen if we made our own Destiny?
Yes.
And Destiny had sex with Titanfall and also Evolve.
Why are you constantly talking about sex? Every time I hear your voice at them, I watched like Monster Closet earlier on, and every other word you said
Come
was
on,
sex.
I'm Monster Closet. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Sexy closet.
Monster Closet. No matter what game we're playing, it's always about sex.
Yeah.
But in Until Dawn, that game is about sex.
Yes.
But yes, it is if all three of those games had a baby.
Yeah.
And it looks stunning.
Visuals
They
are
showed
awesome.
about 6.5 minutes worth of gameplay, or what we assume is actual gameplay. We have to take them at their word.
Yeah, of course.
But I saw quest markers popping up and stuff like that, so I'm going to take it as gameplay. The faces looked real good.
They did. I don't think it's any coincidence that the first thing they show is like a 2-minute straight shot of a dude's face talking to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot that game has to explain still.
Oh, yes.
As far as what mission instructions are like, or like it's a BioWare game, so people are going to be pissed if there's not a good story with it.
Yeah. That's my main question coming out of it is like, what's the story aspect here?
But as far as what we saw, visuals and the idea of these mech suits called Javelins, having customization, all that looks really cool. Flying around, like if we're flying everywhere, how big are the environments?
Yeah.
Because they would have to be bigger than Destiny's environments.
Yes.
You would get from one end to the other way too fast.
Yeah. But I think mech they're not really, they're like exosuits.
Exosuits.
Because they're like Iron Man costumes,
Sure,
basically.
they're exosuits
Yeah.
called Javelins. Different types.
Mhm.
They mentioned, I think, a Hunter class and, a Ranger class.
Yeah.
And then a
There was like a brute class.
Yeah,
like
those
like
one
a,
looked like a tank.
enforcer class, like a big one.
Yeah. And like an all around.
Yeah, they
Well,
talked about
yeah.
world events happening and just like jumping into them like public events of Destiny. Yeah, like so far so good.
Yeah, totally. Yes, it was a great first showing for them. I
And
think.
for those who aren't aware, like when we say BioWare, you're like, yeah, but BioWare did a really bad Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
You know, the studio that made Mass Effect 1 through 3, after 3, they went and started working on this.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Edmonton got
No, Edmonton is the main
main
is the
team.
core. Montreal
was the other one.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That goes Canada provinces.
Yeah, all those different Canada places, whatever.
they all sound the same.
They all sound the same. They're all,
But yeah, like
they're all cold.
I thought it was super impressive.
Yeah, it looked great for sure.
And it's also being written with the help of Drew Karpyshyn, who was the lead writer on Mass Effect 1 and 2.
Which is awesome. I just wonder
promising.
how much story is in it. You know what I mean? That's sort of like how I'm feeling about it, because like those games where you're meant to be constantly playing with 4 other people, like, or 3 other people, sometimes it's very tough to absorb a story because you're talking with people.
And that's like, yeah, especially
Like, how much of the Division story did you watch?
Oh, I don't think I actually listened to an ounce of dialogue in the Division, because that's not why I'm there.
Right? No, I know.
So, but like, you know, with Bungie, I mean, Bungie, say what you want about Halo, but like, it has an interesting story. It has interesting lore. So when you were like, oh wow, Bungie's going to do that for a much bigger game, much bigger lore, and then they completely drop the ball at Destiny because they got hands in way too many places.
Yeah.
So that's the worry with this, is like, they might be so focused on, we've got to make sure this gameplay is excellent. We got to make sure maybe we'll be the first one of these games that comes out with a working end game.
Yeah.
That their story beats might get messed up. And for me, as long as it's fun to play, that's fine, because I'm not going to hear any of the story anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But for other people like you, that's like super important.
It is, to me, it's not. Here's the thing: like, I don't even know if for a game like Anthem, let's say BioWare's name was off of it, right? It was just a new game that was like this. I probably wouldn't be that concerned about the story, right? Because I would be like, oh, I'm just gonna play with a bunch of people, or be talking the whole time, and there'll be some cutscenes and whatever. But because it's BioWare, I just get like worried that like the studio that I love so much, that has these amazing stories, is not going to be doing that anymore. You know, that's the part of me that like gets worried. It's because it's a BioWare game that I even have those questions. Yeah. If it was like Destiny 2, like, I'm not so concerned about the story. Like, it could be good, because I've obviously liked Bungie stories in the past, and they've talked a good game about it being better. But that's not why I'm playing Destiny. Yeah. You know, I want it to look pretty and have good shooting. You know, I want more than that out of a BioWare game, but that's not to say like if it's a great one of those games, I'm not going to enjoy it. I just, right now I have like the existential, like, but I want the conversation wheel and like the stuff, you know?
I want to ask Matt and Kelsey.
Okay.
I want to actually, Hugh, is you as well, because you don't have one. Did either of you guys see anything in that press conference that made you say, I want an Xbox?
Honestly, I kept saying throughout it while I was watching it, pretty much every time they mentioned a game, it was like coming to Xbox and PC, and I'm just like, as someone who's just obviously that, you know, this is my personal experience, but as someone who's just bought and built a PC, I have no reason to buy an Xbox to play Cuphead or, you know, any of the other games that they've announced. You know, I'm playing Battlegrounds on PC. I'll get it when it comes out for PlayStation 4. Personally, for me, until they start having games that are solely console exclusive to Xbox One and don't come out for PC, there's just no reason for me to be tempted by it. And, you know, if with the Xbox One X and the price point that's at, if, you know, I can upgrade my PC for less than the cost of that, and probably have 4K gaming. So honestly, no. Like, I'm really happy that, like, it was a solid showing, and I'm happy for people who have Xbox Ones who have like finally got something, like, a load of games coming that they can look forward to. That all right, a lot of them are timed exclusive, but there's, like I said, Cuphead you're only going to be able to play on Xbox, which I'm really excited for that game. That looks like really cool. But yeah, I have a PC, so there's no need for me to have an Xbox One.
Yeah, Kelsey, what about you? You said yes.
Yeah, okay. It's just because I have a PS4 and I have a MacBook. So I don't have a PC or an Xbox. So a lot of these games that I like playing, like I think Microsoft really hits it with their indie games a lot of the time. And throughout the show there was a lot of indie games that I hold on, my volume is so loud. There was a lot of indie games that I saw and I really wanted to play them. Like there was the Artful Escape of Francis Vendetti. That one looks so cute. Did you guys see it?
Yeah. It's one of the Annapurna games, right?
It's the one with the,
Yes.
Yeah.
the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guitar one. Yeah,
When
the
I
music
was
one.
watching it, I think
Yeah.
I might have actually said this is like if you watch the stream I did back, I think I said this is a Kelsey game.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, weird.
Cuphead.
Cuphead. Yeah, weirdly, they did a much better job of this year than Sony, and we'll get to that later. But keep going, Kelsey.
Cuphead, The Last Night, The Darwin Project, Ori.
Yeah, Ori looks good.
It
Yeah.
looks so good. And the last one I played, I had to play it on someone else's Xbox. And like these are reasons that I would want an Xbox. I also like how the Xbox controllers are, and I like how like aesthetically how the controllers are. And that's like something shallow that I love about Microsoft. And that's why I want to buy it, but then they always fuck me with their prices. Like, it's
She's right, though.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
How much?
It's
how
fucking
much?
ridiculous.
How much would an X cost you?
$671.49. Plus, we have econo fees, which is extra because to save the planet, and then because you can recycle them anyways, and then 15% tax because I'm in Quebec.
So you're looking.
I'm looking
over
at
700. At
Oh.
least 700.
Cool.
Yeah.
800 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but the good thing about it is you could get the S, which is $250 American dollars, however much
And
that
that's
is.
$350.
Yeah, for you there. Interesting. And Matt, what about you?
It was a really nice looking Porsche.
It was.
It was a real nice looking Porsche.
Yeah.
No. At the end of the day, no. I mean, Cuphead looks awesome. I hate exclusivity, but I get it. I understand that that's a necessary beast in gaming, but there's got to be a lot more games before I feel like I backed the right horse when I bought my PS4.
Oh no, you absolutely did. Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
absolutely-
I agree with that. It's just like sometimes they just pull me in. Like the fact that you could
No.
design your controller and I can make it pink and purple and all kinds of cute things.
That's cool.
Like these stupid things win me over. And I'm always like, oh, I should have gotten an Xbox.
No, I mean, but the
totally
truth
get it.
is, like, really, hardware wise, pretty much Xbox One S and the PlayStation 4 are comparable, right? So you only thing you're worried about is install base and like who you play with, and then the little things like, do you like the controller better? You know, how
What exclusives do you like?
what exclusives do you like? Exactly. What I'll say is interesting. What you said, Kelsey, is I think that Microsoft did not make a great case to people like Hugh and I, right, who have PlayStation 4s, have good PCs, right? Pretty much, but Microsoft isn't selling to us, right? They're going like, hey, you have a good PC? Great. Play these games on the Windows Store. We don't care where you play them. Just play our games, you know? So if you and I wanted to play the new Gears of War or the new Halo and didn't have an Xbox, we could play them, right? And we could play them with people who are playing on an Xbox. And Microsoft has done a really great job of being like, it's a platform. Just play it where you're ever going to play it, right? And even something like the Xbox One X, which is $500.
$500.
Look, for the price, it's the most power you're ever going to get for that price, for sure. It's tough. It's a tough inroad for them because like PlayStation 4 has the Pro, and it's $100 cheaper, and sometimes more than $100 cheaper because there's sales all the time on that thing. And even if it's not as powerful, obviously it's not as powerful. It's still a tough sell to be like, buy this thing. It's more powerful, but it's $100 more. Like that's a tough sell for people. But if there's the consumer who's like, look, I really want the power of a PC, but I don't want to deal with the fucking PC garbage, right? I don't want to deal with like 6 different like ecosystems to buy things in, and is it on BattleNet, or is it on Steam, or is it on Origin, or is it on whatever?
Yeah.
I just want a box, I put it on my TV, I plug it in, and the games look great and I play them, right? That's who it's made for, right? And I still think they have a little bit to go as far as like closing the gap for the people who care about power but they want to be able to play all the games they can play on the PC. They have to do a better job of bringing all those games over, like those like niche shooters and stuff like that. They got to find a way to bring that to the Xbox more quickly, because that'll get those people over. I think those people, they made a great case, because look, $500, you couldn't build a PC that's probably as powerful as that thing for $500, right? To push out native 4K, 60 frames a second, like you need a very good video card to do that. But it's a tough sell to people who already have a PlayStation, already have a PC. I think they did a great job with their ID at Xbox segment. I was like, these games look really cool.
They did.
There's a lot of really cool looking games that I was like, oh, I might not play that, but that looks interesting. Much like this, it was like Sony 3 years ago, where every single like second you were seeing a game that you were like, that looks really cool. That looks really cool. That looks really cool. You're gonna be able to. You're gonna be able to play Tacoma from the Gone Home people first on Xbox if you don't have a PC, because it's coming to Steam.
Can we talk about the real showstopper? You're going to be able to play Crimson Skies.
Oh yeah. Oh, the all original Xbox games is coming to backwards compatibility, which I feel like was like a big fuck you to that PlayStation guy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
good.
massively.
Like the way that he said it. Obviously, that's what had been
See,
planned.
that's the thing that I'm surprised doesn't tickle Matt's fancy.
But I don't know if Matt's an Xbox guy. Like, Matt, have you ever been an Xbox guy, Matt?
I have an original Xbox.
So he doesn't need it then.
True. That's right. I forgot. Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool though.
Well, on that note, I have to say goodnight.
All right, Matt. Thank you very much.
Take care, dude.
See you later, buddy.
See you later. Thank
Shadow
you.
of Colossus. Then
Yeah, it did look
have a
cool.
good night.
All right. Good night, man.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Yeah. So original Xbox games, like cool. Like they've been. I said to you via text. Like they've been so good over the last couple of years of being like, even if this doesn't make us money, it's really good for you guys. So let's do it.
Yeah.
And I love that about them. Right. That's so cool about them. Phil Spencer is a great spokesperson for that brand.
He's very good. Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, which obviously you and I vehemently disagree about the people talking about the games that show up on stage thing. Sea of Thieves is the game that needs it, because like that game looks cool, but like what's the loop? What's the thing that you do in that game over and over and over again?
When they showed Sea of Thieves, they had a narrator
Yes.
explaining what was going
A
on.
very British narrator.
Yeah, but they could have very easily just had the developer talking over that. Right, he didn't even need to be on stage. Just right then and there. It was a lengthy demo.
Yeah.
So for like that 6 or 7 minutes that thing is running, he could have been like, "This is the game loop of Sea of Thieves. You're gonna go do this and then do this and then like, oh look, here's some buried treasure and this." Instead of this like, I mean, it's
Whimsical sort of like
narration of
yeah.
what's going on.
But I think that that felt a little bit like it was in keeping with the tone of the game. Anyway, I think the game looks like it's got a bit of a quippy type.
But like,
feel to
I
it.
want to know what you do in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I start the game. What's going on?
Mhm.
Like, do I have a ship? Do I transport to a friend's ship? Like, what happens in the beginning of the game? And then like, okay, we've got this treasure. Now what? Do we get another mission? Where do I find another treasure map? What do I do here?
Yeah. Is it persistent, or is it just like, do you come in with a group of people and it's just like every time it's a fresh start? What?
Yeah. Is it a roguelike for pirates?
Is it a single player thing as well as a multiplayer thing? Like, what's the deal? Like, they just, and again, Justin, I think that for me, it's not even about people being on stage. Like, yes, if it was a pre-recorded developer saying like, hey, I'm from Rare, this is Sea of Thieves, and like, this is what you do. And here you see you're bringing the treasure chests out. This is part of one of the mission types in Sea of Thieves, like that kind of thing. It needed a little context. I think it looks like fun what they were showing, and like,
Oh, for sure.
if a group of people like, if the 4 of us were playing the game, I think it would be like a shit ton of fun. Like, okay, I'm gonna get in the fucking cannon and shoot myself over the ship and try to take
that
out
was
their
cool.
captain.
I would very much like to see Kelsey as a pirate.
Yes. For sure.
I
For
think
sure.
it'd be good. I would
Yeah.
be good.
I think you'd be good too. And so that game I'm super interested in. And I've heard journalists talk about playing it like in the demos and stuff they did. And they're talking about how much fun it is, how funny it is. Like, And I wanted to see more of that, I guess, like on stage while they were playing. But I'm still very excited about the game. That's an early 2018 game that's coming out. They showed Forza, as Matt alluded to, with the sexy Porsche. It looks awesome, but it's Forza. So, like, for me, it's just not an exciting thing.
They showed a new Metro game.
Oh, yeah, Metro, which that looks like that might be console exclusive to Xbox.
No, I
There you
think
go,
it's
dude.
timed.
Oh, wait.
It's timed.
No, but it's definitely on PC.
Oh, so it's
definitely on
literal-
PC.
Okay, so it's Tomb Raider from last year.
Yeah.
a
I think it's
couple years
PC and
ago.
Xbox at launch, and then eventually on PS4. But like, I think it's ended up being like a year thing or whatever.
Okay, so far we only know it's coming to Xbox One and Windows 10.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, an open world Metro game seems cool.
Yeah, no, and it looked awesome. It looked like really cool, and it was a good subversion of that whole like system,
Crackdown 3 they showed.
which looked very underwhelming to me.
Super underwhelming.
Yeah,
And I loved the original
Agreed.
Crackdown.
yeah.
But they needed to show a lot more than they did for a game that's been in development for as long as it was.
And they started strong. Terry Crews is a good strong way to start.
Totally.
But then like they didn't show any destructible buildings.
No, all the stuff they mentioned
Yeah.
originally, no, that's fine. Hey, if that stuff just didn't work, fine. But show more than like snippets of stuff. Show me what like the game actually looks like running and not just
Yeah.
like highlights. To me, it screams like somebody at Microsoft was like, just get it out.
Well, apparently, press has been saying that the destructible stuff is only in online because they use like the power of the cloud or whatever to do the destructible buildings. But apparently, that game, like, because Sumo Digital is making it now, they weren't the original developer on it. Like, it totally restarted development.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what else did they show?
Bunch of other stuff. I mean, they showed the new Assassin's Creed,
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
which looks like Assassin's Creed.
It looks
But
like Assassin's
better.
Creed. It looks better.
They supposedly they reworked the combat.
We'll see. I mean, again, it's hard. You
It's
can't
hard to
see
tell.
that
You
when
gotta-
you're
you gotta
watching
get
it.
your hands on it.
But it looked like Assassin's Creed with the Wildlands drone that is a bird.
Also, no mini map.
No
which is
mini
a weird thing.
Yeah.
Shadow of War they showed.
Oh yeah, Shadow of War looks awesome.
Yeah,
I am
that-
totally in for Shadow of
That
War.
troll was so funny.
He is. The voice acting was so good in that first
Yeah,
game
it
with
was
all the
amazing.
orcs and stuff. So like, I'm sure it'll be just as good this time. And I said to you in text, like, even if it doesn't pan out, this is exactly the kind of scope and ambition a sequel should have.
Yeah, so they take the first game and amp it up by 10.
Yeah. And it looks crazy. I mean, it looks insane with the shit you can do in that game.
The one other thing that really stood out to me was an indie game that they showed, and it's Deep Rock Galactic. It was that dwarf game
Oh right.
where
Yeah.
it looked originally it looked like it was Astroneer, and then there was bugs and mining,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
it just had a little bit of everything for 4 players. And I'm like, I thought that would look really good.
Yeah, no, there was some good looking stuff there. But again, like you said, like a lot of it was Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
And like that's great though. I mean, if it makes the case someone who doesn't have a PC but wants to play those games, that's what they need to do. You know, they need to show the separation between them and PlayStation. And I think that they could have done better with their messaging about the exclusive stuff. That stuff kind of pisses me off. And they've always been bad about that. They were bad about that with Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
People are like, is it exclusive forever? He's like, well, no, of course not. I'm like,
But on stage, you would have thought the
Yeah.
exact opposite, because we had an internal argument on the show about that in our
Yeah.
little group chat.
yeah. So, you know, who knows? But I mean, I think it was a strong press conference of them, if not, like, it didn't blow my hair back. But again, I don't think I'm the person that's going to get their hair blown back by a Microsoft press conference, because I'm not part of what they're selling. I'm not the person they're selling to.
Yeah.
They know the consumer like me is like, they got a PC. That's what they're going to want to play this stuff because it will look the best there. So, you know, see how it goes. But I have thought about, honestly, it did make me think twice about selling my Xbox, because like if there were some games where they didn't say Windows 10 and Xbox or some of those indie early stuff. So I'm wondering like if some of that stuff is just going to be Xbox first without being on Windows 10. And I don't want to, you know, because we do this, not because before we ever did this, I just don't like, I never like being like, I can't play this. I hate that feeling.
It's a bad feeling.
It's a bad feeling. You've been living with her 3 months with Battlegrounds. So after Microsoft was Ubi.
Kelsey, what was your favorite thing
Yeah.
about Ubi?
Spider-Man.
Nope.
No, that's Sony. That's Sony.
Oh no, that was Sony. Where's my Ubisoft thing? Oh, I didn't separate them. I don't know. You're gonna have to remind me what was there.
Okay.
I have here Mario and Rabbids. I have
That was
Mhm.
that was
Uh,
technically Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So if you led with that, you'd be fine.
and Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah. So first of all, just about the Rabbids thing, Miyamoto came out with like basically a
Yeah.
wrestling entrance, with smoke, and he had a gun in his hand. So that was pretty crazy. And then him and Yves Guillemot got up there and were like the two most delightful executives you could possibly imagine on a press conference stage. Ubisoft was typically like unexpected, does unexpected things and was kind of weird and crazy. For sure. They showed off that pirate game,
Skull and Bones,
which is
Yeah.
ship combat from Black Flag, basically that engine, which is that's not a slight against it because that stuff was great in Black Flag.
Yeah.
Writ large into a bigger game.
That's fall 2018.
Fall 2018. It's far away.
That's far away.
Yeah. So there's that because that was like kind of their like one of their two like you didn't know this was coming, did you? Things.
One thing that
So more.
did.
Sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Bobby, carry on if you.
No, you had no.
That Transference, that VR game with Elijah Wood.
Oh yeah.
That looked creepy as all hell. I probably won't play it because I'm not playing horror in VR, but that looks like, in terms of like VR, that looks like they're doing something really interesting there. So that was pretty
Well,
cool.
apparently it's also coming to other platforms. Even though they're selling it just as a VR game at the press conference, it'll be on other platforms. That did look cool.
Interesting.
Ubi showed off. They didn't show off barely any Assassin's Creed. They did this thing where like, oh, watch the stream afterwards to see Assassin's Creed, and they showed like a back room where they're playing it off a television.
That was bad.
And showed a weird shot
that
of the
was
television.
weird.
And then said, if you want to see the game stream, stay tuned after the press conference, which is like a weird way to hold a game hostage that you would want people to watch. Like most people are just going to watch the press conference.
It's already been shown the day before.
Yeah. Like, so they did that. Assassin's Creed did not like, I was expecting like a major shift because they took that year off. And it wasn't. The camera's a little different. There seems like there's some RPG elements to it.
Yeah, and there's loot to it.
There's loot to it. There's always been sort of loot to it, but like, it seems like more, and there's like leveled enemies and stuff in it now. So they're definitely doing some with different stuff like that. You know, with Assassin's Creed, it's always more for me like, what's the mission structure and what's the story like? If there are a bunch of chase missions, I'm out. If there are not, I'm good.
Yeah, and am I going to jump off things when I don't want to?
Probably. You'll most likely do that. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead,
I
Kelsey.
just realized why I had nothing written down for Ubisoft, why I got mixed up, because Hugh just sent me the article again. It's because I didn't think anything was that interesting. Like, I was going over it and to like refresh my memory, and then there's nothing there that really stuck out to me besides the Mario Rabbids game and Beyond Good and Evil, only because was that Sony or was that Ubisoft?
That was Ubisoft.
Ubi.
Now my notes are mixed up. Okay.
It closed out Ubisoft's press conference.
Yeah, okay, I figured because I
God, I
remember
got
being the
excited.
last thing showed.
Yeah, it was the last thing shown on Ubisoft.
Yeah.
They showed a little bit of Far Cry 5. Like, surprisingly little of big games that were coming relatively soon.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously Far Cry is early 2018. It's not 2017, but still, it was weird they showed so little of it.
It looked pretty brutal from what they did
yes.
show, though. That game looks nuts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. They were a little bit more like, hey, this is like regular Far Cry, not super serious Far Cry like we kind of pitched you at the beginning. They showed the Mario and Rabbids game. That was a big part of it. Just Dance obviously was there. There's a big expansion coming to Steep, which is like a Winter Olympics thing.
Yeah.
Which looked cool.
I'm glad Steep's still getting it. Like, Steep must be doing okay for them.
Yeah, they're
If
pretty good at
adding-
supporting their shit. Yeah. Crew 2 was one of the other things they showed. Not that much of it. Like a game that's coming in 2017, I think. Is that 2017 or is Crew 2018?
Did
they say?
I think they said 2018.
I'll have to double check that.
I'm not entirely positive. I realized we skipped the conference, but we can go back to it.
What did we skip? Oh,
Bethesda.
Bethesda. Well, yeah. Okay.
There's not a lot there though, so we're fine.
But one of my favorite things was there.
That Starlink game looked quite interesting as well, with like the Toys to
yeah.
Life thing as
Mhm.
well, where you're like sitting in little ships on your controller and stuff. That
mean,
looks bonkers.
The best thing you can say for Ubisoft is like they go for it.
Oh yeah, they always go for it.
So like, hey, Toys to Life is dying. The hell with that.
Yeah.
Let's just put out a new Toys to Life game.
We will do a game that is Toys to Life.
We'll love it.
Hey.
Everyone is French there, Kelsey. Everyone is French at Ubisoft.
It's true.
To mind you, it was the best games to sexy accents. That was the best ratio of any of the conferences.
Very true.
South, they showed more of the Fractured But Whole.
Yeah, a little
and
trailer for that.
South Park mobile game.
Phone Destroyer or
Yeah.
something.
Um,
But that's coming in. That's right. That's coming in 2017. Is the South Park game. They showed no Splinter Cell, so no Splinter Cell there.
No Clancy
No
stuff.
Clancy stuff at all, really.
Which makes me think that they have things in the works. Like I would expect Splinter Cell to be announced at the next E3.
Yeah, probably. And there was no I was expecting like, oh, here's a new season of Rainbow Six Siege. Like I was expecting like that, or haven't they still not detailed the third Division thing?
The Division stuff is weird because I think they moved a lot of it free.
Oh, okay.
While they probably ramp up on Division Year 2 or whatever.
Whatever it's going to be.
Whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, but Ubisoft, Ubisoft to me, like,
Grun says 2018 for The Crew.
2018 for The Crew. The Crew 2. It looks like there's planes and boats, and they're really expanding the
automobiles and plane trains,
and automobiles. They always put on like what feels like the best production to me, as far as like just like the way it moves and the spirit of it always feels like, even though they don't show a ton of great, yes, exactly. Even though they don't show a ton of great stuff, I'm like, hey, that was a lot of fun. Like that's how I always feel when it's over.
They're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Along for the ride.
They like doing this, and then they close it out.
It's kind of like Nintendo, but they actually decide to show up at the building.
Yes,
basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So they showed Beyond Good and Evil 2. This like very like it's all CG. Obviously, no gameplay. We have no idea when that game's coming out. But Hugh, you were very excited.
Yeah, just a little bit. Sam, a few seconds after they brought up, because all the way through the trailer, I was just kind of like, people in the chat were like, "Is it?" And you were like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "No, it can't be. No, they said this wasn't going to be at E3." And then as it went along, I was just like, oh my God, I'm starting to get really excited now. I'm starting to get convinced of what it is. And then the title came up. I was just like, yes. And then like Sam had the stream on, but she didn't she had her headphones off. And she said I shouted so loud she could hear me like on her headphones. So yeah, I got a little bit excited. I cannot wait for that game. I love Beyond Good and Evil. Like that game for its time was like, I'd go as far to say groundbreaking. So yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with that, and I've already signed up for the beta.
You're Mr. Beta. So it's apparently like an online multiplayer thing.
Yeah, they. It sounds like a completely different thing from what.
It's a completely different game than the first one, because the first one is basically a Zelda game.
It's a solar system or a universe that you fly around in, and you can meet up with other players.
Yeah.
Like No Man's Sky-ish, and I'm not saying
but
like
not boring.
Well, Hugh, we haven't actually seen anything from the game yet. No Man's Sky didn't look boring at first either.
No, it didn't.
I never played the first game. So this is a prequel to it. It's at some 60-something years before, I think they said the first game. That trailer speaks to, I think, everybody.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a ton of personality.
Yeah, so cool.
And it's been so long since that first game, since the sequel was announced, that you pretty much have to think of it as a brand new game announcement.
Oh, it totally is. Because like
to me, I thought that game was dead 4 different times.
Well, the first teaser they ever showed was like the characters from the first game, and this is like totally different characters. Yeah, it was very cool. That dirty mouthed monkey was cussing all over the place.
Cuss monkey.
Cuss monkey. Yeah. No, it looks like, and Ubi was good. It was a good press conference. There was stuff there. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. That's neat. Bethesda. So Bethesda was second shortest in Nintendo, about 40 minutes long. And they did this whole like Bethesda Land, like
which probably
theme.
took up 15 minutes of the 40.
Totally. And let's get out of the way. They showed Skyrim again. They will always show Skyrim till the end of time in a Bethesda press conference. It's coming to they showed the Nintendo
Switch.
version.
Yeah.
There. They showed off some of the Elder Scrolls Online, and they showed off that Elder Scrolls card game. So that gets rid of our Elder Scrolls discussion.
2 VR games.
2 VR games. Fallout 4 in VR, which we knew about, and then a Doom VR thing. VFR. Virtual fucking reality. Which, look, I mean, they're cool ideas. No idea. The Fallout 4 is supposed to just be Fallout 4, completely in VR. They didn't really talk about movement or anything like that. They didn't really show much. That's something where I could have used like Todd Howard being like, this is what this is. Like, this is what you're going to do in VR.
Basically, I think they talked about last year. They just said it is Fallout 4 in VR.
Right,
like,
but is it going to be like
experience?
Right, but is it going to be like move around?
No, I think he said it is going to be Fallout 4
because it's on the Vive, and the Vive doesn't have analog sticks. It has like those thumb.
But
Like,
during
those-
the trailer, they showed it. Your dude was just free moving.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering
But
how
when
that's
they
going to
showed
work.
Doom, he was teleporting.
He was teleporting around in Doom, which looks like it's going to be like an arena battle kind of thing. I don't think that's going to be the full game. I just wanted to know what how that movement's going to work, because I don't think I've ever seen like free movement with a Vive like that before.
Well, the Doom you can pre-order on the PSN now, and it's only 20 quid. So I'm guessing it's not full Doom. Whereas Skyrim VR you can pre-order and it's 55 quid. So
Yeah, Skyrim's the full game
that tells
for sure.
me, yeah, there's a bit
Yes.
of one is and one
Yeah.
isn't the full game.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to see how does it work,
Yeah.
the moment to moment. So that was cool. They were like the first company to show any VR stuff, which was interesting. Like for the press conferences, and then what else did they show? They showed Evil Within 2.
All right.
Sorry,
Yeah, Evil Within 2.
Yeah,
The CGI trailer for that.
Yeah.
That's out this year.
this out this year in October, Friday the 13th.
They talked about Quake Champions.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a tournament now. It's in full open beta, so you can go to quake.com or whatever and sign up and just play it.
a standalone thing for Dishonored, which
Oh,
looks
yes.
like literally could close out the Dishonored series.
Yeah, mhm.
Um,
Death of the
Outsider.
Outsider. Yeah.
That's the dude you get all your powers from.
Yes.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
showing
so-
some gameplay of that on Twitch earlier on. It looks pretty cool.
But the main thing is they showed the sequel to Wolfenstein,
Yes.
which we had
Yeah.
called.
Which-
We had thought last year that they said that it was the old machine,
Yeah.
and it's
The new Colossus.
The new Colossus.
So
We were sort of close.
We were sort of close. So this trailer fucking blew my mind completely.
It's a very good trailer.
Until the Mario Odyssey thing, it was the game of the show for me. As far as like stuff I was
it
excited
was
about.
probably mine too.
Yeah, same.
That first game is so good, such a good game. Does crazy things, jumps in tone crazily, right from like super serious and dour to like ridiculous, like action to it's all over the place. And this game looks like it's taking that to another level.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it looks like, I mean, they're going for it. Like one of the first things you see is a whole bunch of KKK members
Mhm.
walking around the town in America.
Yeah.
Like, and this game takes place in America, which moves it away from the Europe setting of the first game. A serious, but all right, cool. We're shooting people, Nazis, all this stuff. When they got to the acid trip at the end, I didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah, he like pops the acid, and
Yeah, that little creature appears, and he's just like, "You
Yeah.
need to be really quiet."
yeah, while Anya is stabbing a Nazi in the chest repeatedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like BJ is back. I don't know how he survives the end of New Order, but I'm sure they'll tell us.
They reckon he has a new body, apparently.
Yeah, because there's that shot of the monkey with the cat head
Yeah.
that's at the beginning too. So they're thinking it has something to do with that. And there's like a wheelchair combat sequence in it apparently when he's like getting out of the hospital
Cool.
or whatever. It's just such a stylish trailer too. Constantly like doing like crazy like thematic but like unrelated hard cuts between scenes and stuff like that, which is something you've seen in movie trailers 100 times, right? But I've never seen in a video game trailer before. Done really, really well.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about
And
it. It's out this year.
I
Again.
love that opening segment with the girl, and she comes across that guy with the car on its side, and it's like on his
Mhm.
leg.
All those
And she calls-
The fake
commercial
commercials?
style,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
calls was it Liesel? And
Yeah,
then he just,
Liesel,
comes
yeah.
across, smashes the thing over, and then he's just like sets the car on fire, and she's like, "No, Liesel, bad Liesel."
It's out the same
And-
day as Mario.
I know
love-
it's out the same day as Mario.
I love like all of the characters that like BJ comes across. The amount of like personality they were oozing in that what was it, like an 8-minute video?
Mm.
Like that one, like the black lady character who like when
Yeah.
like BJ comes in, she's like, "Where the fuck are you going, white boy?" And I was just like, I like this lady. Like that game looks like it's just gonna have so much like character and sass about it. Like I'm really, really looking forward to it, because like you say, the first one was awesome.
Yeah, and he has some crazy like exosuit armor or something that like has a bulletproof head.
Yeah, so we could run through the walls.
Is he going to the walls?
He's the Juggernaut.
He's a juggernaut. Yeah,
I'm the
looks crazy.
juggernaut, bitch.
I was waiting for that.
And there's like this one scene where like he's talking to some guy, and it looks like there's also like an active sniper battle going on behind them.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, there's like
Just
bullets
so much
flying
shit
through
going
the
on.
window.
Yeah. So much shit going on. It looks great.
It looks really good.
It looks
It
really
does.
great. Kelsey, you haven't played the New Order, right? Wolfenstein: The New Order.
No.
You should.
You should. It's awesome.
And it's
It
cheap
is-
too. You can get
Yeah.
it really
super
cheap.
cheap. The first hour and a half of that game are like the most standard blah thing, and it turns so many people off. But once you get past that first hour and a half, it
Mhm.
becomes like an entirely different game. It's very good.
It's very, very
There's
good.
also, Hugh, lots of sex in it
Great.
There is,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, there is. Lots of story as well.
and sex.
Story and sex.
Sexist
both.
story.
It's great. It's really great, and it made me want to go back and play the New Order again. Because I want to be because it's a couple of years ago that I played that game. Like I
Yeah.
remember like the big stuff, but I don't remember everything.
Yeah.
And you can buy it right now for like that and the DLC for like $11 right now on PSN or something.
It's definitely worth doing.
Yeah, that was pretty much what Bethesda showed. They didn't show a lot. It was it wasn't too much. Evil Within, like that first game was okay. Like and if they can improve on some of that stuff for the second game, could be neat. That trailer was trippy as hell,
Yeah.
which was neat.
There's the basis
Um,
of something really good there. Like I played through the first one, and like you say, it didn't blow me away. It was decent, but like if they can get that formula right, it could be great. And it's being written by the guy who did the first 3 Resident Evil games. 2 or
Oh, it's
3?
Shinji Mikami. He's
Yeah.
like the Resident Evil guy.
Yeah.
He did Resident Evil 4, and the problem with Evil Within is that like, look, Resident Evil 4 is an amazing game, but it came out a very long time ago.
Yes.
And like Evil Within like plays a lot like Resident Evil 4, and you're like, yeah, we've come a long way since Resident Evil 4. Like there's things you could probably let me do in this game that you're not letting me do here, but it's cool they're doing it. Like Bethesda obviously believes in their franchises and will let them have more than one shot at getting it right. So I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, Bethesda, and then we have Sony, which was a lot shorter than I expected it to be. It was barely an hour.
The same thing they did last year.
Well, yeah, but for some reason I expected it to be longer for whatever reason. They did have like an hour pre-show beforehand, which that was like where most of the stuff that's coming out this year was in.
Yeah.
A lot of 2017 stuff in there.
Gran Turismo Sport.
Gran Turismo Sport they showed off there. They showed off. Well, Undertale is coming to PS4,
I'm so excited.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
How excited, Kelsey?
Yeah. How excited were you?
So excited because I really like this game and I just want more people to play it. And I think that if it's on the PS4, like people will play it, and it's such a good game. And if you haven't played it, you need to play it.
I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, and
Me too.
it's very cool that's coming to PS4. There was a bunch of they have like a
VR.
super hot VR is coming to PS4. They have like a kind of like a Jackbox type thing that's coming to PS4. They also unveiled like this new thing, this PlayLink thing, which is like a Jackbox like thing, like a whole bunch of games that are like that. One of which is developed by Supermassive, which is like a murder mystery game where you and like up to 5 other people choose like the choices that you're gonna make and what clues you want to share, and you all have different information and stuff like that, which seems like a game. It's coming out this year. Seems like a game they should have showed at the press conference to show off like this new technology that they're doing.
Tropico 6.
Tropico 6, and a couple other things too. Oh, the new Housemarque game.
Matterfall.
Matterfall.
They had shown that trailer. They had announced Matterfall. I think not last PSX, the PSX before.
Okay, but they got a trailer and it's coming out in like 2 months or something.
Yeah, and I mean, Housemarque has Next Machina
Yeah,
or whatever in a week.
yeah. Apparently, that's not a PlayStation only game,
Oh, okay.
so that's why they weren't like pushing it.
Okay.
Apparently.
I think there was a VR game as well. There was like a shooter. I think it was what was it called? Bravo Team, I think.
Well, yeah, that was
that
during
was in the main press conference. Yeah, we're just talking about the pre-show right now.
Oh, okay.
They showed some other stuff too. I don't remember all of it. They showed a bunch of stuff there that's coming out this year, which was good because they showed basically nothing that was coming out this year at the press conference. They kicked it off with the Uncharted Lost Legacy.
That's coming out this year.
That's coming out this year.
Looks great.
It looks awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Kelsey, let's start this. What notes do you have about PlayStation? What are you excited about?
Okay. One, I'm mad at Uncharted because it's the reason we didn't have anything on The Last of Us 2. So no, thank you.
Wait until PSX.
Just want to say,
Justin was right.
I was right.
Yeah.
We'll get more at PSX. I can
Yeah.
probably assure you.
Well,
of
I
that.
hope.
Yeah.
Well, Spider-Man. I spoiled that before. It's probably the game I'm the most excited for. I think it just looks really cool, and all these games that get my attention. Honestly, it was Miles Morales at the end. I was like, oh my god, Miles Morales! But the game actually looks really good.
Yeah.
Like I watched the gameplay, and I know it's just for the gameplay trailer, but it actually looks really good.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
Yeah, so I'm like really excited to play it.
Yeah, they've said some really promising, like even down to like they were on about the web swing, and it's like physics based. So they were like, yes, Spidey's webs do attach to buildings, and like how your swinging affects like the movement of Spidey and stuff like that. So I think there might be some like measure of you having to consider where you're putting your webs so you can swing in the right direction and stuff. I'm hoping there's not a deluge of like quick time events all throughout the game.
I don't think that. I think just maybe in the story beats you might get those things, because like if you think about it, all right, well he's got to catch a falling crane. How do you do that in a stylistic way without it being a quick time event? Unless you just want it to be a cutscene.
I feel like be a cutscene. Yeah, that was the one thing about that trailer that I wasn't super psyched about, was how many quick time events were in that thing. There was a lot in a very short period of time. And again, like you said, maybe it's just for those big story beats. And I don't know if they've done interviews since the press conference and I've talked about this. Do we know if is it totally open world New York City?
Yes.
Do we know that for sure? Okay.
And they've said the map is one of the developers from Insomniac said the map is 4 to 6 times the size of that from Sunset Overdrive. So it sounds like it's a big game.
Sunset Overdrive is big.
Yeah. And again, what's sort of like the loop of it, right? Is it mostly like, hey, beat up some toughs and for like moment to moment, and then while you're going from story beat to story beat, how is it structured? How big is the game? How long is the game? Is it like an Arkham open world game where there's a bunch of like side villains and side activities you do where you pick off a list? Again, we just don't know.
We don't know, but if you look back at previous Spider-Man games, that's the way they've all been laid out.
Right.
Is like I think of like Web of Shadows, which is like a criminally underrated Spider-Man game.
Mm-hmm.
You had the big open world, you had your big story that was going on, but there was other like side activities that you could do and villains and stuff. Like I think that's one of the best Spider-Man games out there.
I liked Shattered Dimensions.
Shattered Dimensions was good, but it wasn't open world.
No, it wasn't. And then the one after that was not that good. Edge of Time was like, hey, what if Spider-Man was only in hallways? And you're like, that's not what I want a Spider-Man game to be. No, but it looked awesome. It was really sharp and crisp and looked exciting.
Oh yeah, I mean, to Kelsey's point before, when they showed Miles, like they showed Miles for a reason. That's not just some like throwaway. Like, I wonder if you are dueling Spider-Man in this game. Like you could play as Miles and Peter.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I have so many thoughts.
Sorry, Kel, go on.
No, it's okay.
No, go on. It's fine. Go. Oh, I was just thinking, imagine if like somehow they just dropped the bomb on you that there was like some sort of like co-op where you could play with a friend and one's Peter and one's Miles. That would be cool. Probably.
Well, they've said there is a story reason why the suit emblem is white. So I'm wondering if that's an easy distinction between Spider-Men in the game.
Yeah. Kelsey, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I just have a lot of theories. Like, I'm wondering if you start, like, I'm thinking you're going to probably start the game off as Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe it'll go into, like, a Spider-Verse kind of thing. And he needs Miles Morales for some reason. Like, he knows, I don't know if he would already know, probably not, because Miles was like super excited to see Spider-Man, so they don't have that connection yet. So I'm thinking maybe he recruits him somehow, and then you take over the game after that as Miles Morales.
That'd be cool.
That would definitely be cool. I mean, Grun is saying who is under the mask. Hugh, you said that he says, "Come on, Peter," at some point.
I'm sure there is one part where he's doing something and he says, "Come on, Peter," and so I've only watched the trailer twice, and I'm pretty sure I heard him say, "Come on, Peter."
Yeah.
During the initial reveal for the game last E3, he talks about being like what's scarier, being the guy from Queens that has to save the world, or like taking on all the villains, or like, or how much scarier it would be if everyone knew that a kid from Queens is taking on the, these world-ending events or whatever.
Right.
I think, I agree with you. I could have swore I heard him say Peter at one point.
Oh, it's definitely, look, I think it's definitely Peter in that demo.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's any way that from the time that they show Peter, Spider-Man hooking up that helicopter and webbing them, and then where they cut to Miles, like taking the picture or whatever, like, I don't think that it's the same person who did both things. But I think they wouldn't show Miles like that if Miles was going to be part of the game in some major way.
Yep, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So that closed Sony show, and it was a good way to close it. 2018. We were right, Justin.
Yep.
As we were right about God of War, which is also a 2018 game.
So good.
It does.
It looks so good.
Dad of War.
Dad of War.
Well,
Angry Dad of War.
That's what Kelsey's note said.
Yeah.
Yep. Bring on the story about the dad. I like that.
I'm gonna be a little bit of the stick in the mud about this thing.
I am shocked.
I like the God of War games. I'm not a God of War hater at all. I like those games. I felt like last year they showed off that piece, and it looked so different from what God of War had been. And I felt like this time around they were like, yeah, the camera's a little lower, but like he's still gonna be fighting like Kratos. Like, that's what it looked like. It looked like a God of War thing to me. Now, again, that's just from the presentation they gave me at this press conference. That's the feeling that I got. Last year I came away going like, holy shit, I'm really excited about this. This time I came away being like, okay, like, I'm a little less excited than I was. Like, that's how I feel. It looks gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but like, everything looks gorgeous. Everything everybody showed looked gorgeous. So
some games though stand out. Like, I feel like that game stood out.
I don't know, like, it didn't look any more gorgeous to me than like Spider-Man or
Spider-Man's one of the other ones that I feel like really stood out.
Or Anthem, or like,
they're all very good.
Like, all those games looked amazing. Or even Days Gone. Like,
I didn't think Days Gone looked anywhere near as good as this. But like, those are two different types of games.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
We didn't see the stuff that we got shown last year as far as like, hey, you discovered a new area.
Mhm.
Like, it looked more open world-ish last time, and they didn't show any of that this time. I think they showed the combat is fast, different camera angle, but it still doesn't look as fast as it did before.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Like, again, and I don't dislike the combat in God of War. It's just like, I've had enough of God of War, like regular God of War at this point. That's all it is. They showed the Midgard serpent.
He looks so sad.
He does look sad. He's always been sad though.
He's always been angry.
It's true.
He looks like he's full of regret and sadness and a little anger. You see, like, the part that got to me was when it reminded me of Old Man Logan in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He goes up when the first time you actually see him get into combat, he's got his son with him, and he tells him like, I will handle this.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't sound like, I'll handle it, like, like Kratos used to. Like, he it's like in his voice, like, I don't wanna do this,
mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna have to go get these guys. And I bet you, like, it's that, like, same thing with Old Man Logan. Like, he's got that rage that's still in him, but he's learned how to bury it. And when it comes out, it comes out. So you see him later on. He like grabs dude, rips him in half and stuff. But it was that initial like, I'll take care of this. Stay here. We could be A, protective of his son, and B, just being like, I don't want to fight anymore.
He seems like a little of an asshole dad. He doesn't seem like he cares terribly.
He cared about, like, when he said like, hold on, boy, when the Midgard serpent was coming out, like. I 100%, like, when the kid is laying down, his hand is on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's that dad who doesn't know how to be a dad, but secretly really wants to be a dad. He wants to be a good dad.
Yeah. He's a fiction dad, which is like all fiction dads are like that. I just want to be a good dad, but I'm a terrible one.
I'm a terrible one. I wish I could get better.
Yeah, that's like all stories
like
of dads.
If Soldier 76 was an angry god.
The other thing too is, like, we saw the Midgard serpent, and again, this is not until 2018, so we're gonna have PSX in the middle, right? So we're gonna see more stuff, obviously, there. But like, I wanted to see like Odin and like Thor and like Loki and like, the Valkyries, or like, the Norse mythology pantheon.
The like current rumor is, and I could be getting this totally wrong. It's like we don't know who the kid's mom is. in the comics, somebody slept with Thor's wife and had
Okay.
a child with them. So it's like, did Kratos go shack up with Thor's wife and Thor's mad? And like, why does that hammer keep returning to him?
Hmm.
Like Thor's hammer does. It's weird.
We'll see.
It's got my attention though. Also 2018.
2018 game. Justin and I were right about that as well.
Feels good.
It feels good to be right. As always. Days Gone they showed some more of. What they showed this time around made me more interested in the game.
It has a zombie bear.
It has a zombie bear, for sure.
It looked like
which
a
is pretty
weird
impressive.
zombie bear mole thing, like with that like funny stuff going on his face. Yeah, it was crazy.
There was a lot of bears. It was like the year of the bow. This was the year of the bear. We had the Morrowind bear in Bethesda. We had the bear in Metro,
Yes.
and then we had the bear in Days Gone. They showed a little bit more of what the gameplay was going to look like, I think, there, and I thought that looked like an interesting little bit. Looked like had a little bit of that like partly stealthy, partly actiony thing. Looked like you're using the zombie hordes. Less is like, oh okay, oh shit, here are the zombies, and more like, how can I use the zombies to my gain? Some of it there. And apparently there's multiple ways that situation can
Play
work
out.
itself out. It looks great. You know, I was more interested this time than I was last time. I feel like last year they weren't ready to show as much as they did, and
and we don't know if they were forced into it.
yeah, exactly. Because last year it was just like, look at all these zombies as I run up in this wooden barn. That
Which
was
looked cool.
It did
and
look cool,
scary.
but it was like good for like one presentation, not
Yeah,
for two.
yeah.
But so like I think we don't know what the story is. We don't know what the tone is. We don't know what the tenor is. It feels a little bit like it's straddling like, isn't this kind of like what The Last of Us is doing? You know, like kind of bleak post-apocalypse with zombie-like characters. Again, it could be totally different. They haven't shown enough to me yet to see that. But I'm more interested than I was a year ago. Anybody else have any thoughts about Days Gone?
Yeah, I kind of like the look of it. It's got a, you know, it was a nice, you know, it was good to see a bit of what we can expect character-wise, like just establishing that a little bit of what the, you know, where your character is situated and stuff. Yeah, it showed me enough to get me interested. I say I want to see more in terms of like what the overall gameplay is going to be like. But I do like the whole thing with like using the zombies as a weapon, like that bit where he sticks the remote bomb on that damn thing and like blows it up, and then all the zombies come piling in and kill all the bad dudes. I really like the look of that, and if they do it so, like you said, Bobby, you can approach a mission or, you know, multiple ways, where you might end up sort of like saying to a friend like, oh, did you do this mission? And they said, yeah, well, you know, how did you do it? And they do it a certain way and you did it a different way. If they can have that much variety to how you do the missions, that would be great. So yeah, hopefully, like, I imagine by PSX time they'll be able to sort of like properly lift the lid on it. But yeah, my interest is piqued.
Yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Other big stuff, Uncharted, which we started with, coming out this year. I think it's like $40. Looks good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Chloe be like a main character in a game. I loved her in 2 and 3, so I'm glad that she's back. Doing more with Nadine is cool as well. Looks like they have a cool dynamic as well. And I really like the Uncharted game, so I'm in for this. If it was Nathan Drake again, I would be like, whatever. But the fact that it's different characters, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh yeah, Shadow of the Colossus completely remastered, like not just like here's the game up-res, like completely redone visuals. I have never played that game, so this will be the time.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
should.
I played it a couple of years ago, and it was like maybe 4 years ago, I think it came out.
The remastered one,
HD,
yeah.
Yeah,
the remastered,
exactly.
yeah.
And I liked it. It reminded me a lot of The Last Guardian, actually. Like when I saw the gameplay of The Last Guardian, it was very similar. So I'm excited to see like what they add to the game.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I'm sure it'll be very similar because they're the same developer.
Yeah, no, I know, but
Yeah.
I think they said they're even like going as far as to like tweak the controls. and
Oh, I'm
stuff.
sure.
Yeah,
To
the
what
yeah.
controls
extent, I
were
don't
really bad in that game.
They
Yeah, I'm
were,
sure they'll
yeah.
change it.
know. Which
Yeah.
is typical of like Team Ico, really.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm sure that they'll fix that and change that. That looked cool for sure. I was like, whoa, oh, Monster Hunter World, which is a big one. I mean, core Monster Hunter title coming to a console is a big deal. Usually they're since like I think the originals were on PS2, but since then they've been all handheld, except for like some like offshoots or like remakes of handheld stuff brought to like Wii and Wii U and stuff like that. I'm excited. I've always wanted to play a Monster Hunter game, but I don't want to play it on a handheld because I don't have fun. I don't have friends to play it with there. So the fact that I could play with a bunch of people, I've always been interested in it. So I'm down for that for sure.
A lot of VR stuff that they showed.
Yeah, which some of it looked really good. I thought that the Supermassive thing, which is a prequel to Until Dawn, 60 years before Until Dawn, that was interesting to me. They had like that like platformer looking thing there that wasn't a first person game.
Yeah.
Star Child.
Yes.
I think it was called, which looked interesting as well. Yeah, they definitely made a case. I mean, they showed more VR than I was expecting them to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I think they need to start like making a bit more, like making some waves with VR, because I'm currently teetering on the brink of like getting rid of mine. So I think they need to start like making a bit of a push with it and getting a bit more variety on it. Because right now it just seems to me like a lot of the games on there are a bit samey, so they need to push it if it's gonna survive, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, and there was like some mouse game, some like mouse sword fighting game.
I forgot the name of it.
Which I forgot the name of. It was like a one-word title, which I can't remember what it was. And they showed that Spark game, that like Tron disc-like game.
Yeah.
No independent games this year.
So weird.
And that has been their like go-to thing for years at this point. And look, they showed a lot of cool stuff. They showed that Horizon expansion.
Yes.
Which is coming out this year, which looks neat.
The Frozen
Wilds. I'm not, and again, we don't know if that's DLC or that's a standalone thing. I'm not sure.
It's like it's extra story stuff, but they were saying if you finished the main game, what this expansion does actually affects the world as a whole. So
okay, so it's got to be DLC then. Yeah.
So if you're in the post game world, it actually like changes what that world is. So that sounds quite cool.
Yeah. That was cool that they had something to show from that. They started the show very, very strong, and they had good stuff throughout it. It just was, I felt like a lot of here's what's coming down the line and not here's what's coming soon, like anything big. It wasn't, and I feel like a lot of like the crowd pleasing, like big stuff, like the Pie in the Sky projects, the Shenmues, the Final Fantasies, the Death Strandings, even like the Resident Evil 2 remake, or even the Resident Evil DLC or something like that. Like none of that shown there, and obviously because it's not ready to be shown. But I feel like that's probably this year what was missing from past years for them, because the past years they've had like those like, guess what, The Last Guardian isn't dead and it's coming. You know, they didn't have that this year. That kind of thing. And like doing stuff, and again, I am now just like extrapolating way beyond anything that's even true. I'm just like, I worry that like no indie games feels like them like maybe returning to like the we're too big for our britches like thing. The thing you always worry about, right? When the company's on top for too long, they start to get a little cocky, right? And like, oh, we don't need the little things anymore. We got all the big things now. And that all that little stuff is what kept them going when they had no big stuff. And it's what buoyed their platform the first couple of years. I just hope they're not getting away from it.
I would worry only if we didn't see it at PSX.
Oh, that's true. I guess that's true. I didn't even think of that. They do a lot of that indie stuff at PSX. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think they've already alluded to the fact that, like, I get the impression these days that Sony treats E3 in a similar way to Marvel Studios treats San Diego Comic-Con. They just sort of tease a few things, but then they have their own show where they do their own announcements. Like, it is Shuhei Yoshida, isn't it?
Yes.
He's already said, he was like, we've got exclusives we're announcing. but we're holding back on them, and we've got a lot more besides that coming. So I think PSX is going to be where they're going to be.
Yeah,
doing.
That's
this
what I agree with you. Like I think PSX is their old E3. Like I think that's where they're holding their best announcements for.
I mean,
they could like I think they announce stuff at PSX and then we see it at E3. Like E3 to me is like, oh hey, we announced this at last E3. Here it is again. But PSX will follow the opposite thing where it's like we announced The Last of Us 2 at last PSX. You'll see it at the next one.
I mean, that's great. If they do that, that's awesome. I mean, I think it's great for their fans. It's great for everything. And I wonder what those exclusives are that they're holding back. I think the one studio we don't know what's going on with the Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch.
I hope it's not another Infamous game. I hope it's something else.
And we still didn't see anything from Media Molecule.
Oh, that's right.
Like
the
Dreams has gone silent for
it's true.
years now.
Yeah.
Is it just a VR game now?
I don't know. They have a lot of studios too. A lot of studios that they can come with. I know in our Discord chat, Cody was asking about Bloodborne. I think we talked about that last week. I don't think From is going to make another Bloodborne game, but Sony can have somebody make a Bloodborne game.
Yep.
They own the IP. So
we will see.
Yeah, we will see. And more Last of Us 2, obviously. We don't know when that's coming. I don't think they didn't put a date on that at last PSX.
No, I would say late 2018 at the earliest.
Yeah, or like spring 2019.
I'm leaning more towards 2019.
Yeah.
When you factor in the inevitable delay after it gets announced, we're looking at fall 2019.
Yeah, Naughty Dog isn't known for like hitting that first date.
Nope. Just like Rockstar.
Yeah, they're usually like, no, after that. I remember when they first announced Uncharted 4, everyone was like, it's not coming out then.
Yeah, just like Rockstar.
Yeah.
Like Red Dead's coming out in the fall. Ha.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nothing from Rocksteady.
Nothing from Rocksteady.
I'm surprised.
Nothing from Rockstar.
Yeah. Though I wasn't that
Rockstar
surprised about
doesn't
that.
really show up.
Yeah, they're
there.
like, we don't care. We'll do our own little stream. It'll be fine.
That's fine. But like, you know what?
It's going to sell 55 million copies.
The best part is like, all right, we didn't see anything from Sucker Punch, Rocksteady, a couple others like 343, the Coalition. We didn't see any of those new big Bethesda games that have been rumored.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
we'll see it next year,
yeah.
or we'll see it at some time before then. Like that's the best part about games is it gives you something continually look forward to.
Yeah. Sweetness Buffet asked if Lost Legacy is physical release. They're doing a physical release of Lost Legacy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, if you had bought like the premium pass for Uncharted, way back, you're gonna get it. Because originally it was supposed to be a DLC for that, and it was supposed to be part of that pack.
Yeah, so you get that for free.
You get that for free, which is
whatever
you paid for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good. They're saying if Lost Legacy sells a ton, there'll be more Uncharted. I don't think the sales numbers is the problem. You will not get another Naughty Dog Uncharted.
No, they're done.
Sony could make another Uncharted with somebody, but you're not getting another Naughty Dog Uncharted.
It's like Rocksteady and Arkham.
Yeah.
Like, they said they're done. They're done.
Yeah, they're done. There's no reason for them to do it. So that's all of E3. We did it. We did it. The show's still going on. Obviously, and things might get announced here and there. Impressions. We'll talk more about it next week. Let's just quickly go. Hugh, what's your number one game of the show?
It's got to be Mario Odyssey. Like that just made my brain fucking melt. I was just like watching because they've I think Polygon put out like an hour gameplay video earlier on, and I was watching a little bit of it. But it just looks absolutely friggin' goofballs. And I'm just excited for it. Like the amount of like just sheer creativity and expressionism in that game just looks fantastic, and I just can't wait for it. It looks like it's going to be just wild. Yeah, I was just like the entire time. I think I looked more confused than anything when I was watching it, and then when it finished, I was like, "Oh my god, this looks so fucking cool!" So yeah, Mario.
What about you, Kelsey?
I think it's pretty obvious. Metro Prime 4 and Mario Odyssey, I think, are the games I'm the most interested in seeing more of. I think we got a lot of Mario Odyssey, so I'm happy about that, but I would like to see more for Metroid.
All right, Justin.
Until yesterday, I would have said Spider-Man or Wolfenstein. But it's Mario. Like that was unbelievable. And a lot of it has to do with the kids and being so like you're so into Mario right now that it's tilting me. Like I can't wait to bring this home and show him and play it with him. So that's what takes it for me.
That's awesome. Mario Odyssey and Wolfenstein as well. It's gonna be a hell of a day.
Yeah,
They both come out on the same day, which is pretty crazy. That's awesome though. So excited. And those are my 2 games of the show by far. I didn't think anything was going to beat Wolfenstein for me, and then Mario did. So, and they're both games that are coming this year, which I love. That those are the 2 games I'm most excited about. I mean, obviously Metroid, but that's like a pipe dream right now. It's like so far off. All we have is a logo, so I don't even know when that's coming. We had some listeners though who chimed in with some of their things they were most excited for from the show.
Sam says I can't just pick one. So she said Anthem and The Evil Within 2. Luciano said, excited a Metroid game is coming out. God of War looks to be an awesome cinematic adventure, and Assassin's Creed looks better than expected. John D says, Rocket League on Switch, coupled with the announcement there'll be cross-platform play. Gruen says, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is completely unexpected. How many years are we going to have to wait for that game to release? Check back in 2019. That's my guess.
Best. Yeah.
I'd say late 2018. Michael Zudrow said, Ori, he got so hyped. And Mickey Jenks said, Pokemon RPG coming to the Switch. The extended look at the new Mario, extended look at God of War and Anthem.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweetness Buffet in the chat also asked, do you think this new Spider-Man game will come close to the quality of the Arkham games?
Don't answer him. Don't answer him.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. Answer him.
Which one?
Yes, and I will say.
Which one?
Because when they announced it, they went up to Insomniac, Sony did, and said, or internally had said, we should have a game that's as good as the Arkham games. That is something they actually said. They had mentioned Arkham by name. Like, we want one of those exclusive for our system. Mm-hmm. So they went to the right developer for it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like. So I believe it will be.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it all comes down to how good that combat system is and how interesting the story is. Because for me, those are the 2 things for Arkham for me. Are the story and the combat system is the combat system tight and responsive, and is the story take advantage of the Spider-Man lore the way the Arkham games take advantage of the Batman lore. Those are things that I'm really into for me.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I want the Spider-Man story to be very top notch. I want it to be like the best story I've ever played in a Spider-Man game. Like, I'm very hyping for this game.
Are you hype?
Yeah.
I am hype. I am hype about that game. Go ahead.
Me too. I'm excited.
What's your
I want Miles and Peter to like blend perfectly. Like, I want their stories to blend perfectly.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your slogan, Justin?
I am hype.
Because
Bobby and I talked the other night, and I said something like, I said the words like, I am hype. And I said, actually, I think that's a good way to describe me. And he's like, actually, it is.
Yeah, it is a good way to describe you. And we have one more question. Kyle BMCFC in the chat says, can any of you see a new Spyro game out, like the new Crash game? I can see him doing a collection.
Yeah, and I wrote in the chat, like, I think it all depends on how well Crash does. If Crash is a huge success, Sony will absolutely go back to their other franchises and be like, what can we mess around with? And I think Spyro is probably a leading candidate. It's looked back fondly at.
Yeah, no, it's part of that original like PlayStation grouping of games that people really loved.
Oh, wait, they're remaking, what's that?
Bubsy.
What's that game? Bubsy.
Bubsy, yeah.
They're doing a new Bubsy game.
I know.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, and Bubsy was shit.
Yes, very true. Spyro was Insomniac? It's one of those 3, the 3 big ones. No, Naughty Dog was Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah, I think it was Insomniac.
It is Insomniac.
I think it was Insomniac.
They were good games. They were fun.
Yeah, totally. I can absolutely see that. If the Crash remake sells well, I think you'll see a bunch of those ones start to come out. I don't know if you'll ever see a new Spyro game, like a new one, but I can see them remaking those original games in like a cleaned up art style. Because you go back and look at those Spyro games from back then, like as far as PlayStation games go, they're some of like the cleanest looking ones. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's going to do it for talking games for this week. We gotta get Hugh to bed. It's very late for him.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking it out, Hugh.
It's very, very late for him. That was E3 2017, brought to you by Talking Games. Thank you to everyone who watched along with us, who talked in the chat. we're gonna do it live every week. Most weeks it's just for Patreon people. So if you want to go to patreon.com/talkingcomics, you can sign up there. But I'm going to try to do like maybe once every month or once every 2 months, we'll do a public live stream of the podcast for everybody. 150 episodes.
150.
Crazy.
150.
I mean, you've been on most of them.
Yes.
The rest of us have not.
This show survived Jackie Turner.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
We've had a bunch of rotating guest hosts and stuff, and I've seen people come and go and all of that good stuff. But I feel the show is stronger than it's ever been. We've been doing a lot of side projects, Monster Closet, your Battleground streams, Heroes Hideout. Sam has chipped in with Ladies' Choice. Our YouTube numbers and subscribers have not quadrupled. We're not there yet, but they've gone up a very large amount in a very short amount of time. We're appreciative of that. We ask that you help us continue to grow the show and its projects. It means the world to us. It means the world to me. So since I've been here since the beginning, I'll say thank you very much to everybody for supporting the show, getting us to 150 episodes. It is when I came up with this idea, it is a lot harder than I thought it would be to do this every week.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
But your support and the reaching out and watching community members like Kelsey become hosts and watching community members create their own series for us on YouTube, it's been a blessing to watch.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say thank you to everybody for it.
Let's not forget that this other guy, too, was also just a community member.
But me and you were community members of Talking Comics.
I know.
I was there when, like, things were on the ground, man. This is like...
Yeah, I know.
But...
It's been a long time.
Yeah, like... I want to say, like, massive thank you to everybody who watched, like, my live streams and commentary of the E3 conferences. I know they were a bit glitchy, but it seems, judging by tonight, we've figured that out. Don't fucking put OBS in sleep mode. But yeah, I had so much fun. It was great, like interacting with people in the stream. It was just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I love doing this. Like it feels like a bit like we're really sort of like building up to something right now. Like our Twitch is growing. We're on the verge of we think being invited to become an affiliate, which is exciting.
Yes.
And like I'm chomping at the bit for us to just take these next steps and keep going, and just hopefully, like, I don't think we're ever going to be able to, although I said it to Bobby, quit my job and get a Talking Games private jet. But you never know. You got to have ambitions, haven't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm having a fucking ball being on this show, and just sitting here and listening to Kelsey say downright disgusting things is an absolute joy. Yes, you actually witnessed me laugh until I cried earlier on. So thank you for that, Kelsey.
No problem. I don't want to get all sappy after you said that now. Like, I don't want to be sweet. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm very happy. I'm happy you guys are my friends. And the show gave me more confidence to talk on the internet than I had before. So thank you. I'm very happy.
50 episodes ago, Kelsey, you called into our 100th show.
Yeah.
And then afterwards that night, we had a conversation and was like, we decided to invite you on as a host. We just didn't know when.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't wait for the right time. But 50 episodes later, 50 episodes from now, you'll be hosting the podcast, and all of us will be gone.
We'll all be long dead.
Yeah, I was going to say
you'll be surrounded by a whole bunch of new people.
Yeah.
The young ones keep the podcast alive. So
yeah, the millennials are going to take over.
If I see you guys dabbing, it's over. Oh, wait, I technically am a millennial.
Yeah, we're both technically millennials.
God damn it.
Yeah, 82 is the cutoff, I think. But
oh, cool. I'm not then.
Yeah, you made it out. We'll get Kelsey streaming at some point. She'll do some streams at some point.
I'm shy.
Okay. Yeah.
Bullshit.
All right.
Yeah, I'm wet. I'm so shy.
surprisingly, like I'm getting red. I'm shy.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows too, if you're watching on Twitch right now, you might see there's like a little panel that says like leave us a tip. I just want everybody to know that like if you leave a tip, who's ever streaming at the time gets 100% of that money. Like it's not going it goes through me, but immediately to the people who are streaming. So if you're watching a stream of Hughes and you love it, like you tip him, that money is going to him. Same with Kelsey, same with Justin. You know, if it's more than one person, it'll get split. You know, just to let all of you guys know.
I'll actually add it because it's not there right now. So this is how it looks. I didn't put it on there early on.
Oh no, it's okay. There's like a panel like in the actual Twitch profile we have. That's there.
Oh. But this is the overlay we have.
Oh yeah. Oh, you switched it. Okay, I gotcha. So just so you guys know, I mean, that's it. It doesn't matter. Like you don't have to. We don't want to ask anybody to. But if you want to, I want you to know how the process goes because we had it up the other night and people were asking. Apparently, some people in the chat like how it worked, and I wanted to let everybody know that's how it works. But if you don't follow us on Twitch, go to twitch.tv/talkinggames and follow us. I'm doing a morning run tomorrow. I'm probably gonna do more Dead Cells, and then Friday, Hugh and I got a Battleground stream in the morning going on.
Yes, get the
Go for that
fucking
chicken.
chicken dinner.
Go over that chicken dinner. What's up?
I didn't say Cody as well.
Oh yes.
I mentioned everybody, I think, but Cody. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned Cody as well.
We love you, Cody.
And big thanks, of course, to Jackie and Rob and Steve and Chuck,
Bob.
and Bob. Yeah, who were on the show and were huge parts of the show all the way through. I can still remember the day our like Skype meeting you, me, and Steve had where we like.
It was like the first time I ever really talked to you.
It's true. All I knew you from was when you would pop on Brood and Boarded and you would be incredibly loud because you had the Astro headset on.
It was super loud.
Like, Justin, you're killing us.
I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, hopefully we'll be seeing you for 200. But yeah, I'm really excited too about all the video stuff. It's been really cool. Like the last couple of months have been like the most fun I've like ever had doing this stuff, doing all the video stuff. So looking forward to more of that. There's a new Monster Closet out right now. Actually, I put it out today. So
I killed some people.
You killed some people.
And there was no
I'm
sex.
excited.
No sex.
I know, it's
For the ones
You
who
did
try.
literally everything you could have done wrong with her in that cabin. You did wrong.
what, to keep her alive?
No, to get her out of her clothes.
We can actually get her out of her
Yeah.
clothes?
Yep.
Damn it, we're gonna have to replay this.
She
game.
can get dragged through that mud just like in bra and panties. Dragged through that snow in bra and panties.
Well, he's not the smoothest guy in the world.
He's not your version of Mike, but you're starting to warm to him now. I can tell.
He's kind of.
I know you hit the moment. Everybody has that moment with him where they go like, "He's a fucking idiot. He's an asshole." Then they go, "Wait a second, Mike's not that bad."
Yeah.
He's probably still gonna die. There's only one hero of this story.
Ashley, and she's not looking too good. Oh no, I mean, she's looking okay right now.
There's one point in this game where there's a decision you need to make, and I'm waiting to see which way you go. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I cannot wait to see what you do.
In the back of my mind, I legitimately thought at one point, it was like, before we start this, I am going to go on a wiki and just read it all. But before we started it, and that way I was, and just not tell anybody, and then play the game and save everybody. And everyone would be like, Justin's the best. And I'd be like, I know, obviously.
I was still very surprised you did all that whole QuickTime event with Mike chasing Jessica perfectly.
That'll never happen again.
So that was cool. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun doing a lot of videos. Check out our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Once we get to 100, I can say like, oh, just go to youtube.com/talkinggames. But right now it's like youtube.com/A69000603-. But there's a link to it in the Twitch profile.
And
So
please, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Leave us reviews on iTunes.
Oh yeah, rate and review us on iTunes.
Justin loves the reviews.
We haven't gotten any in a while, so if you could review it, that would mean something to me.
We have
Nice
not.
All right, let's get
ones.
out of here.
All right, let's get out of here. You can follow me on Twitter at Bobby Shortle, Justin,
Jero, J-R-O-A-K.
Hugh,
At H_Paz.
and Kelsey.
Kelsamus, KELSSAMUS.
And Matt is at Johnny Matt Wood.
Oh yes, Matt is at Johnny Matt Wood. But that's gonna do it for the 150th episode of the Talking Games podcast. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you, Hugh.
Thank you, Bobby.
And thank you to all of you who are listening. Until next time, be good to one another.